Won't you come and take me away? I just wanna be with you. Won't you come and take me away? To a place to walk on troubled seas, faith to stand when I don't believe. I just wanna be with you. Won't you come and take me away? I just wanna be with you. Won't you come?
You are now locked into the TruthSeekah Podcast, streaming live at TruthSeekah.com, your source for spiritual and inspirational music, teachings, and media. This show is designed to help you grow in your walk with Christ and advance the kingdom of heaven. And now, your host, TruthSeekah.
Ladies and gentlemen, what's going on? I'm your host, TruthSeekah. This is the TruthSeekah Podcast. Excited and delighted to be with you guys again today. As always, man, we're going to cover all things spiritual. We really leave no stone unturned, and so that's what we're going to do. We're going to get it in. We're going to talk about spiritual warfare, spiritual strongholds, spiritual maturity. You know what I'm saying? So it's going to be a good discussion. Make sure you guys stay linked in with us. And shout out to everybody listening on whichever platform you prefer. Twitch, Periscope, YouTube, Facebook, iTunes, the audio apps, everybody joining in no matter where you're listening to this. Shout out to you guys. Thank you for hanging out with us. And I want to say a huge thank you to everybody supporting my work via Patreon. You guys are the enablers. We are a listener-funded show. So this show is your fault because you want it. It's here. Thank you guys for believing in the work, partnering with me in ministry. It means the world. If you'd like to support, head on over to patreon.com/TruthSeekah. There you get access to my entire discography of work, which is 200 plus songs. You get access to our Thursday night School of the Mystics, Sunday morning seer class, and a bunch of other cool things that we're making available for you guys over there as well. Check it out, patreon.com/TruthSeekah. Check out the descriptions wherever you're listening. We got merch, t-shirts. I got some new meditations that are available. Touching the hem of his garment, the Encountering Jesus meditation that I just put out, the throne room encounter, really make for some really deep gateways into experiencing the Father's heart in a new aspect. So if you haven't checked those out, make sure you check them out. Everything's in the description of the video. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and bring on today's guest. My friend's name is Todd Wayne Benton, and I want to play this quick snippet here, just kind of a welcome.
We should go and hang out with Todd.
Hi, girls.
Whoa, it's Todd.
It's Todd Wayne Benton, brother. Welcome to the podcast, man. How are you?
Swag. Todd himself.
This is ungodly. Started it off. How are you, man?
Doing good, man.
Yeah, we've crossed paths over the years online. We've been friends on Facebook for some time. I feel like we maybe have got connected through maybe some of Red Lantern Ministry and Brandon Barthrop. I don't know if he was like a mutual friend and then added each other on Facebook some years ago and just been kind of friends that way. Is that maybe how it worked out?
Yeah, I think that's what it was. I think it's one of those things where it's like it just kind of happened regardless of the. You know what I mean? It's like if I knew you from the street or knew you from the church or knew you from the internet, but once there's that connection, we just went with it. I appreciate you because you kind of reached out a couple times. It's like, I think I fall into the false humility sometimes. It's like, I would reach out. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm humble. You know what I mean? But it's like, I don't like to make people feel uncomfortable or like, you know what I mean? Jump in there too much. I don't know what you got going on, but you kind of made yourself available. We kicked it a little bit. And it's one of those good things too, where you don't have to talk a lot or you don't have to speak to each other often, but you already know what's up. Like as soon as you link up, you already know what your brother's into, what your brother's representing, and it's always good.
For sure. Like you said, don't mean to step on toes, but kind of, those people who stick around. You can look at your Facebook friends and they kind of dwindle down if you share a post or you mention this or you touch on that, and then people are dwindling out. And I really respect you for speaking your mind and speaking your truths, which your mind is renewed by the scriptures of the Lord, because you speak the truth in love. You know what I'm saying? And you're very upfront with what you believe and why you believe it, which is commendable these days, because we see a lot of people kind of backing down and even with the guise of choosing your battles wisely, which I believe there's wisdom there as well. But man, kudos to you for speaking your truth. And that's why I wanted to have you on here, man. You've been on fire lately, doing a lot of videos and stuff, and most of it's just like resonating with me. You'll just be driving in the car and got those downloads and, hey guys, this is what it is, you know, and I'm usually resonating with everything you're sharing. So I wanted to have you on, pick your brain a little bit, talk about your story and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, man, please do. I'm here for it.
For sure, man. So I guess just a little
thing what you said.
Go ahead.
Sorry. I was just going to say the thing too, what you mentioned about like just standing in your truth and also speaking the truth in love, but welcoming all challengers too, because I don't know everything, and my thoughts and my opinions about things have evolved over time. Or you go down this path for a while and get what you can get from there, and come on back like, okay, I see where that started to get off track, or I see where that movement kind of hit a standstill, but you just got to stand strong through it. And when I say welcome all challengers, I mean like challenge the ideas. You're not going to offend me.
Yeah.
I'm going to be here. We could talk about this, whatever the case is, spirituality, religion, the Bible, and then when you say pick your battles wisely, I have had to do that a little bit. Like I would love to jump on politics and race, but that one ain't really going to work for me. You see what I'm saying? So I just kind of have to back off that one. I just want to speak about the things where I could be most useful, have the most impact. I could come out swinging a really sharp sword and swinging it really wild, but then what? How much fruit am I going to produce?
Have you done that though? Because usually that comes from everything you're speaking about comes from spiritual maturity. Have you ever done that? Because usually you learn from your mistakes, and you've done it in the past, and you see what happens. Was there a time where you were just blatantly and just, excited about God and just running people away and that kind of thing?
Yeah, I think I did so I came straight from the streets and from the drug thing.
Yeah. So
I think I did my whole, hey guys, I'm different now. Want to know about Jesus? No. Almost like corny phase, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like drifted back into that world some, and it's like you come back a little stronger. It's like you get that armored temper, and then I probably went through a phase where I'm beating people up with the Bible, beating my family members up with the Bible. And a lot of that came from like being a Pharisee to myself. I'm trying to be so strict with myself because I don't want to go into the drugs, the alcohol, the sex, whatever it is. And so I'm being extra strict on everybody else, where I realize, man, the power is more in the freedom. When you get excited about the freedom, the difference is when you don't want to go into these things because you actually don't want to.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, let's use pornography, for example. There's a big difference from saying, hey, man, you shouldn't watch porn. It's bad for you. And somebody's like, oh, man, I shouldn't watch porn. I didn't want to, but I got caught up in it and I did it again and blah, blah. I'm just at the point where, like, hey, I believe in no porn. I believe in, no fat. You know what I mean? So it's like, I don't want to do it because I don't want to do it. And that makes all the difference. In every area, it's about what you want, not trying to like, this is what you can't have. This is what you, because if you take it back to the Garden of Eden, it's like this. God just said, don't eat from this tree. But he said, you can eat from all these other trees. So the enemy's trick is to get you to focus on them little couple things that you can't have instead of everything you can have out here. So I'm just excited about the freedom of and I don't let anybody put me in the box. I'm about prospering in spirituality, financially, physically, relationally, and I don't let anybody hinder me on that or make me feel bad about that. Is there borders on the other side? Yeah, you don't want to get into money, everything, but you don't want to get into thinking money's nothing either.
Exactly.
You know, you're hitting a wall on either side. You know what I mean? So like maybe I can't go to the strip club because, you know, God doesn't want me test driving anything over there. But he didn't say I couldn't go to the Maserati dealership and test drive something over there. So I'm not going to let you make me feel bad about doing that. Freedom.
That's something you've been speaking about a little bit as well. So do you have a Maserati? Is that what because I've seen some of your comments and stuff, and I wasn't 100% sure. And you was mentioning something about a car.
Pops up. Sometimes Maserati pops up. I think Lamborghini's probably in the future.
That's what's up. That's what's
but,
up.
I don't really care about that type of stuff either. My
exactly.
thing is, when it comes to, you know, let's just use this example. Like, oh, man, look at that preacher. He has all that money.
Mm-hmm.
People have a problem with it. But they don't have a problem with their favorite baseball player having the money. But if a preacher has the money, it's a problem. So I asked them, hey, is it okay for the preacher to have a house? Well, of course he can have a house. Can he have a nice house? Yeah, I mean, he could have a nice house. So where's the line? Where's the scripture you're going to point to say, yes, he can have this size house, but he can't have this size house? Not to say that we can't point to extremes or something, but that's between that man and God. You know, I might be sitting on $100 million, which I'm not, but I'm just saying I could be sitting on $100 million, but people don't know about the $25 million I gave away on the way up to them. So how are you going to judge somebody because they're a Christian or because they're a preacher or whatever it is that they have wealth? That person probably wrote books. That person probably is into real estate. And that person gets percentages, or if you just look at whole amounts, how much have you given? Oh, look at that preacher. He has $1 million house. Do you know how much that man has given to people? How much have you given? You know what I mean? Persecutor, how much have you given?
Yeah.
You can't judge that person's heart or, you know, what they do with their time, their money, their energy. You know, just like somebody could judge you. You know how it goes.
Yeah, they don't know what I came through. They don't know they don't know this is what I do.
What you bring to the table. My thing is this. I look at you and I'm like, okay, the whole realm of spirituality. Not necessarily Christianity, definitely not churchianity. The whole realm of spirituality, you're in there. And it's so good to be in the marketplace of ideas. YouTube, Twitter, Facebook. Everybody can say what they'll say and talk about. That's why I'm against any of that being banned. Let it all come out and let the cream rise to the top. You know what I'm saying? And like, that's a good thing about a debate, you know, like a good type of debate. You bring the truth and you see where the truth lies, right? Yeah. Truth. You're just putting it all out there. And for you to be an instrument in that spiritual realm. And I always believed in that. Like, at one point, you know, I was really close to joining a motorcycle club, an outlaw motorcycle club. And I was straight being in that realm. I can represent God in that realm. And I think it's so important to have that. So you're representing God in the spiritual realm, maybe a fringe spiritual realm, or getting into the esoteric and stuff like that. But you're speaking for Christ in that realm, and it's so important because who else is out there? You know, so who else is in the motorcycle club? Who else is going to represent Christ? But the crazy thing is, I went far off the church path, was done with church, didn't want to mess with church. And lo and behold, that's where God is planning me. Because I would have been content sitting in the motorcycle clubhouse and representing God there. But now, funny how the tables turn, he's like, no, I actually want you in my church and you're going to do it in there.
Yeah, so that's what I wanted to ask you. What is because you do serve at your local church, you preach, you speak, and all that kind of stuff. What is your title or role in the local church? Would you call yourself a pastor, evangelist, or I'm just Todd? Do you have a title?
I'm an elder in my church's organization, but I mean, I believe, you know, I am an elder in the Lord's church. You see what I'm saying? So like if I move somewhere else and I find a church that is, holding to the standard we know it's supposed to be, because, Jesus established the church, but he didn't give that much instruction on how it's supposed to go. You know what I mean? So we could see where it was or what it's supposed to be or not supposed to be. I don't even judge that too harshly. Different churches might have elders and deacons and pastors and bishops and all that. And I don't really care about the terminology. You know what I mean? But I'm an elder in my local church. If I went somewhere else and joined another church, I probably would be an elder there. I'm cool with that. I'm not a pastor. I'll never be a pastor. I guess some people would call me more of an evangelist in the sense that I would go to other churches and preach. And that's my main thing. Like, that's what he showed me. Like, that's the prophecy that my grandmother got when I was still dusted out on PCP and crack blunts and selling drugs 100 miles an hour. The pastor came to my grandmother and said, I see your grandson preaching. I see your grandson, sounded crazy at the time. Since I came into the church, I always saw that. Like, I knew I wasn't going to be a pastor of a church, but I knew that I was going to, speak wherever I have a platform to speak in churches, because I would have been content to do it outside of church. I kind of wanted to leave church alone. The Lord was showing me, how to do it within the church, So some people, I use this term loosely, but some people would kind of label me more like a prophet. But that's just because I don't know so much about that term prophet, but I do operate in prophetic gifts. So the thing is, I go to church, even if I'm not feeling it, I'm tired, I didn't even feel like going to church. I get in that atmosphere and I start feeling the presence of the Lord. And I know it's the presence of the Lord because it ain't my mind. I'm not hyped up on the caffeine. I'm not in a good mood. I'm not just feeling it. I'm not feeling it at all. But all of a sudden, I'm feeling something that's not coming from me. Next thing I know, in words, that they're coming back and reporting to me that I told them exactly things that I could not have known, the right thing at the right time. And like, once it heats up, I'm on it. So if I go somewhere and preach and that type of thing starts to heat up, I could stay there all night laying hands on people, touching people and speaking words of life to them, man. And that's what I like to do, man. That's what I'm gifted at. And that's what I enjoy. That's my zone I want to be in. And, honestly, to put myself out there, that's the lifestyle I want to live. I want me and my wife to be able to travel when we need to, stay in the hotel and get my mind right, get prepared, and then go somewhere and pour out to the people, and speak things that's going to confirm what the Lord's been saying to them, or maybe even what their pastor's been saying to them, or what they've been worried about. And they know that that the Lord spoke. I just am a channel for God to speak through, and I definitely could be on the other side of that. I'm going to be a leader.
You was, right? If you're on dope and running dope, you were a channel for the enemy.
Exactly. A channel regardless and a leader regardless. It's like, if I'm going to sell drugs, then I'm going to go talk to these guys over here and say, look, here's how we can really get it moving. There's a certain amount of charisma. I look at it like this, from the word charismatic, it's gifts. It's gifts. Like, I wasn't very charismatic, as a child or a teenager or whatever, but like, you did see those type of gifts shining through, because, the Bible says the gifts and callings of God are without repentance, which actually means he gives them to you without taking them back. But it can also mean, even repented of your evil ways, you still have gifts that work through you. So there was times where I kind of knew things that I couldn't have known any other way. Even as a little kid, it was like, man, I'm going to go, this is going to sound crazy. This actually happened before. I'm like, I seen a dude throw a trash bag out, right? And I said, man, I'm going to go look in this trash bag. I think there's dirty magazines.
You just knew it.
Sure enough, that's what the whole stash was. But I had stuff like that happen a lot. So it's like, and you can see how that gift could be perverted.
Yeah.
So I could be somewhere cracked out of my mind, still prophesying to people. But it gets dark. It gets twisted.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You start trying to capitalize on it for your own flesh and stuff like that. Me, I want for my brothers and sisters what I want for myself. You know, faith, family, finance, and fitness is what I'm about. I just want to see my people, people that are covered by the blood of Jesus Christ. You see what I'm saying? Not a race, not a certain church, not a denomination, nothing like that. Just my people, anybody who is in Christ or wants to come in Christ.
What does that term mean to you? Because to me, honestly, it's become more of a broader term. As far as like, I can kind of judge someone by their actions and tell whether they're in Christ versus, hey, I'm Pastor so-and-so. That doesn't mean you're in Christ. Like, I look at their fruit, even if they don't know the name of Jesus, and I'm going to throw that out there. For me, this realm of like, man, they got the fruit. I want to be around them. They love God, or by their actions, they love God. Maybe they don't profess Jesus everywhere they go, but by their actions, I can tell, because we know the whole scriptures is like, don't listen to what they say. Watch what they do. These people are really cunning with their mouths. Don't listen to them. Watch their fruit, because, you know, a bad tree is not going to give you good fruit, and an apple's not going to give you an orange, etc. So for me, like, I've kind of wanted to position myself around people who have the fruit. And they don't, and some of them people may not call themselves a Christian anymore, or they don't know the gospel. So and that's just where I'm at. What does it, but I still speak the name of Jesus in Christ as like having that relationship with him and walking with him. That means you're in Christ. You're going to produce the fruit of someone who hangs with Jesus, right? Show me your friends. I'll show you your future. You start picking up on their mannerisms. Right? You start hanging with people, you pick up on slang, you start saying what they saying, you start dressing like them. Same thing with Jesus. You start hanging out with Jesus, you start talking like him, caring like him, you know, having compassion like him and stuff like that. So what does that mean for you, for somebody to be in Christ?
Yeah, I mean, to point to what you were saying, look at the responding or not responding to whatever light that they've been exposed to. You know what I mean? Like the light of your, like I say, a man could be living on a deserted island, or he could be just way out there in some area all by himself. There's nobody to talk about Jesus Christ. There's nobody to give him a Bible, but he's just looking at the sun and moon and stars and responding positively to that light. Because he could be saying, hey, look, I'm looking at this and I know there's a creator. Creator, I love you. Or he could make the decision to say, wow, looks like a creator, but my ancestors told me there is no creator. Don't believe in that. You see what I'm saying? There's nothing but you on the planet. You're just your own, so I would say, that's God's work to shine that light, even if it's just the light. And then it's up to the individual to respond positively to the light. Because when you stand before God, that's how you're going to be judged. You're going to be judged by a perfect judge where everything is shown. You won't even argue the case. It'll all be laid out before you so clear that you'll say like, oh, yeah, I had an opportunity to respond to that truth. I had an opportunity to respond to that light, but I rejected it for this reason. So when you see people that are bearing good fruit, and like you said, their understanding of God or their terminology of God, whatever that is, I just feel like that person is responding positively to the light they received. You know what I mean? And they could grow in truth just like we have to.
Yeah.
I mean, you knew the Bible when you were a kid. I knew the Bible when I was a kid, but we had to grow up into that a lot. Our understanding of God, or how judgmental we are about certain things, or how we judge ourselves or judge things. I think the only other side to that is, I would say the enemy could try to keep a person kind of like encapsulated, or keep them stuck right there, where it's kind of like what's the verse about ever learning but never able to come to the knowledge?
Yeah, ever seeking, yeah.
So you have all kinds of truths, and you have all kinds of theories, and you have all kinds of spiritual practices. But I come down to when it says the man, Jesus Christ. and understanding who Jesus Christ is. You know, somebody that's never heard the name of Jesus Christ will stand before the Father. And that's okay, because they're only going to be judged according to what they have been exposed to.
Yeah, that's deep. Paul goes into a lot of detail on that, saying, look, God's not holding it against me because I didn't know. I didn't know that this was bad. I didn't know. And if you read the correlation of the scriptures, it ties in with Christ saying, Father, forgive them, for they don't even know what they're doing. I'm not going to hold it against them. And so let's just, and this is just a tangent, a wrench in the system. Some naysayers to what me and you were talking about here will say, well, if that's the case, we shouldn't even preach the gospel to these people and give them the chance to say no, right? Don't even tell them, because if God's going to reveal himself through the stars and through the universe or whatever, like, then we shouldn't even tell them that. And this has been like some real hard gospel, Baptist people or whatever, who have said that, but it's the truth, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, and then again, because I feel like we're here to represent Jesus, or to break the word down, represent him, because people have got a bad or a misrepresentation of who he is, and I feel like those people who have rejected that representation of Christ, and they say, you know what, take your Jesus, I don't want him, because I feel like we feel that way for a large group of Christendom, whether it's the Catholic Church or whether it's this or whatever. We can see the beauty in what they bring to the table, but most of the stuff we're like, no, you get that. I don't want Fred Phelps. God hates fags. Like, nah, get out of here with that, right? If that's the only representation of Christ that these people have, and they reject that, I don't think God holds that against them people, man. I really don't, because I don't want that. I don't want that either.
They're not necessarily rejecting Christ. They're rejecting this person's small, narrow-minded, bigoted perception of them, or how presentation of them. Mm-hmm. But some people would throw us in that category too and say, Christ consciousness. You're trying to narrow Christ down to a man that lived 2,000 years ago, and you got to accept him as your savior and blah blah blah. So the theological debates, of course, go deep. My answer to the we shouldn't even tell people about Christ because it's like kind of like setting them up for failure or something. I don't look at it like that, because my thing is, if we're playing the game and I'm on level 3, and I'm trying to get to level 10, you're on level 25. I didn't even know there was a level 25. I only thought it went up to 10. But you start exposing me to something better, because what that does is, here's my thing. If you believe there is one God, and if you believe that the Bible is the word of God, and you believe that Jesus is who he says he is, if you have that right there, you cut out so much that you could get caught up in and never get out of. Okay, so like atheists or many gods, or no God, or different paths. If you believe there's one God, you believe that the Bible is the word of God, you're cutting out so much. It's like putting you so far ahead of the game, and then you have an opportunity to go deeper, to go further, to get a better understanding, and then you're talking about rewards in righteousness, rewards in heaven, relationship for all eternity. What will your relationship be to God? So I'm not going to, this person just recognizes there's a creator. Cool. But I don't want to leave him there, because that could be his eternal relationship to the creator. You just knew there was one. And then eventually you found out, yep, there for sure it is. I want this person to be like Paul, you know what I mean? Where it's like, I'm bearing in my body the marks of the Lord Jesus Christ. Like, I had visitations of him. I went to the third heaven. I've seen, and now here's my relationship with him. This is what he told me to do. I did his will instead of doing my own will. And now I have that relationship with him for all proximity. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Even if it's proximity, it's like, man, I love TruthSeekah. I talk to him. I see him on the internet. But, we talked on the phone, and it's like, man, this is better. Like, I can ask you questions now, I'm getting to know him. But if it gets to the point where it's like, come down, you can come stay at the crib, and then we're eating together, breaking bread, we can ask each other questions, it's just so much more solid, man.
Yeah.
You just take it to another level.
Yeah, there's the depths of it, and what we've probably both found out is that I don't think there's a cap or a limit to that. Like as deep as you want to go, you can go. In the mysteries and the secrets of God and the dimensions and realms of heaven, you could just put your toe in, or you can just dive. You could dive in and swim on top, or you could dive in and go try to touch the bottom and see if there is a bottom. You know what I'm saying? And so it's much, but with that, I mean, I think we do that, but then again, there's still a foundation, right? Or in my lyric, I say, I'm lost within the mystery, but found in the simplicity. So always kind of be anchored in Christ and founded upon who Christ is, and always coming back to that, no matter how deep or how far out we go. With that being said, is the fact that what we've been presented with has been a misrepresentation, or only a piece of a revelation of God that people have had for centuries, right? For just a period of time. And I think even as a human race, like you know what I'm saying, the more that we live, then we get to experience, and we're evolving as a people. We're finding out stuff that we did that wasn't working, and the Fred Phelps stuff isn't cool, right? And there's just so much that we're learning, and we grow in that as much as we want. So there's no limit, there's no cap on that for the person who just wants to know him as God, or for the person who wants to know him as friend or father. Like, there's so many aspects with the name, and there is no, just like, I know we've reached a level of maturity, right? And it's probably a nice level, but it still goes deeper and deeper and deeper. And as much as I'm trying to get this stuff out now, I'm talking to new people, I'm finding so much more about the Hebrew letters that are alive. And I could break the Hebrew and Greek down, but then I found out that we're going to do an episode on this tonight, that each letter is like communicating something to you, and it goes even deeper into the verse. And I'm like, this is blowing my mind. I thought I had it all figured out when it came to breaking it down. So there's just more and more and more. And I really believe my album 333 is really founded upon Jeremiah 33:3, that says, call unto me and I will answer you. I will show you great and mighty things that you do not know and cannot find out. I really believe that there's things that God has hidden in the universe that he hasn't told or shown anyone, that he's like, look, if you come hang out with me, I want to show you some stuff. You know, and we draw away, and it says that he shows us things in the secret, that he's like, I want you to proclaim this from the rooftop, and I'm going to give you the meaning. It's wild to fathom, out of however long we've been alive as a people, or how long we've had the Bible, that we can read it and understand what a text means that we've never heard anybody break down. We've never heard them share. It's almost kind of vain. Like, yeah, God told me. And we have to be careful, because there's people get into that, and I have the revelation of what this really means. You got, what's his name? Koresh did that. I can break down. So there's a lot of culty stuff in that, but of just loving the Father. Lord, show me what this means. Show me an aspect of what were you trying to communicate. And you read stuff and you haven't heard it preached anywhere, but he's communicating it with you. Like, that's the depths of what God is wanting to bring us into, man, in Christ, right?
You brought up the simplicity, and I think it goes back to that. I noticed in a lot of things in life, like say like in martial arts, like jiu-jitsu, you start to learn all these concepts, and it starts off simple, right? Like, here's the positions, here's how it works. And then it gets really, really complex, because you're learning so many different moves, so many different positions, so many variations, so many techniques, and it goes on and on and on. But then once you get a grasp of all that, then it comes back to simple again. You see, like, I used to look at a lot of this pickup artist stuff, right? Like in the early 2000s, men getting together on the internet, the whole manosphere thing, men sharing ideas about interacting with women and stuff. And people got on all these techniques and these concepts of talking to women and what causes attraction and all this different stuff. And it got really thick and complex, but then it boils back down to just a couple concepts, about like confidence and voice projection and this type of thing. So I think that happens with the spirituality and stuff too. It's like, it comes back to going into the deeper depth is sometimes by those simple things. So the fasting, the prayer, it's been like fundamental things all along, but you just go back more deeper into it and you understand it. every couple years when I go to, like, I'll start reading the Bible again, like reading through the New Testament or reading some book that I haven't read in a while. And it's like I'm reading it with fresh eyes, man.
Because you learn so much.
Yeah, that you come back and just read it with fresh eyes.
Yeah.
And all of that is still just skimming the surface. Because like you said, you go back to the Hebrew, you know, when he said the word is alive and powerful and sharper than anything, it really is. It's alive. All those letters are word pictures that connect, and it just, there's no end to it. You know what I mean? So I believe like sticking to the simplicity, the core principles of things that keep you grounded, but then going deeper within that, man. Long treks. You know what I mean? Prayer and meditation. It's so bad. I'm an information junkie. Yeah. So before the internet was heavy, it was just books, and preachers. So watch preachers, listen to audio, right? And then with the internet now, it's endless. YouTube, I got so many channels I want to listen to, so many videos, so many different things to read. I got 100 books on my Kindle, on my phone. Information junkie plus music. There's always more. I got so many albums I haven't even listened to yet. All this stuff's out here. It's almost to a point now that if you ride in your car silent or sit on your couch with no TV, your phone's not in your hand, if you're just not consuming any sound or speaking or doing anything, just sitting still, that's almost prayer at this point. You see what I mean? Like technically, I know that's not exactly what prayer is, but what I'm saying is we got to shut that down and go there.
Well, I'm sure that's why a lot of your inspiration's coming when you're driving. You do most of your stuff when you're driving.
I hop in the car, and the only reason I won't make a video is because I thought of some music I want to listen to. I want to listen to this podcast or something, right? But if I hop in there and just drive and just let the Father just speak one thing to me, then I'm like, oh yeah, let me start talking about that. And then there it goes. So the greatest revelation, I think it's kind of like a spiritual laziness on my part, where in a way it's spiritual laziness. One thing, I'm just an appreciator. I just love people, love information, love what they bring to the table, and I get inspired by it. But I would be so much more inspired if I just went for a 3-hour walk by myself with no earbuds.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm exploring that a little bit too, because like on many different levels, it's almost like when our minds are in a place where we have access to our subconscious. Like if we're like being entertained or watching the movie or whatever it is, I mean, we're still going to get downloads because we're inspired. We're always inspired. But it's something when you're cutting the grass, you know, you're mowing the lawn, you're in the shower, you know, you're laying down to go to bed, where you're not being entertained by other stuff, to where you're getting these, like last night, I was busy most of the day and I stayed on the computer writing and doing stuff most of the day. But it was kind of weird because I went to go to bed and then I'm having these downloads laying in bed, and I'm like, I have to write these down because if I don't, I'll forget them. So I've been on the computer all day. Like, why didn't I have these, you know, thoughts come to me while I was here? Because I'm occupied with other things. But it was when, you know, I finally at the end of the day said, oh, you know, okay, now I have a few minutes where I'm not processing stuff and your mind's wandering. So I came back in here and wrote them down late night to get them out of me. But again, like even those beautiful songs, people write them sitting on the toilet. Like how many much beautiful music has been written on it? You listen to people's interviews and they say, I was using the restroom and just sitting there and it came to me. They want some big, deep download, but it's coming when it's like, look, I got your undivided attention. But even now, that might not even happen because you got a smartphone in your hand at the toilet, right?
Yeah. So I definitely want to get into that. Like what you just said happened to me last night. Once I put the phone down, I'm laying in bed. I got like a little different type of energy right now because I've been working out every day, and I've been going. I just been eating meat. You know, I'll switch it up and I'm in a straight carnivore diet, right? So I'm sure, you know what I mean, all the vegans are gonna like float up in the air and disappear. But I've just been feeling a different type of energy. Last night, I'm laying in bed, and I thought of this verse that says, the kingdom of God is righteousness, peace, and joy in the Holy Ghost. You know that one, right?
Yeah.
And when I heard it last night while I was laying still, he was like, as a discipline, peace as a military strategy, peace as a military term. I never thought of that. Like, that's not coming from me. And then he said joy as an order. Not like as an order, as like a command, but an order that you belong to.
Yeah.
You know, that blew me away, especially the peace as a military term. You know what I mean? I was like, oh. And then I remembered he said, I will make your enemies be at peace with you. So it is a military term. You see what I'm saying? But I would never get that while I'm either one, taking something through my ear, or two, spitting something out of my mouth.
Yeah. Have
you ever heard of the silent retreats?
Oh, yeah. I think it's called Vipassana.
Okay.
Vipassana, maybe right. I may be wrong. But I think Vipassana is the type of yoga. Somebody give it to me in chat. I know a lot of people listening. But yeah, there's a silent retreat. A lot of times it's 7 days. I've heard some interesting stories about people who have done that. Yeah. I think Vipassana is a form of yoga, but it is a form of meditation.
So the one I was hearing about, the guy said he did a 3-day before. I think he did a 5-day. I think he tried to do a 7-day, but he had to bounce by like the 5th day because he just couldn't take it.
There's a documentary where they introduced that to a prison here in Alabama. They let the inmates do it. They got their lives rocked, but the warden, staunch Christian, he shut it down. We ain't having no Eastern mysticism going on here, and they shut it down because of Christianity. These people's lives were rocked, dude. It's crazy. Like, God waits for us because he can't talk to us throughout the day. We're busy. God, we're doing stuff, man. Hold on. We'll get to you later. He waits till our subconscious is open, and we see all throughout the scriptures, many times over and over. Yeah, when we lay our heads on a pillow, but when we close our eyes, that's like probably the number one place God speaks to us is in the dreams and visions of the night when we go to sleep. You know, we can't escape that. We're going to be haunted or chased down by God. Every man has to give an account, and you usually do when you close your eyes.
Well, I think that's a problem too. I don't think we ever close our eyes unless we're going to sleep. You see what I mean? Like some people are hip to different types of meditation. I mean, I like eyes open, I like eyes closed, but to be able to sit with your eyes closed, man, you could see them. You could see the vibrations. You know, you close your eyes when you're awake, you could see the waves of energy and stuff, man. Like, but we never do that.
Yeah.
Like some people that you kick it with might, just because they're on that level, but in general, people don't do that. And I think one of the most powerful things about the silent retreat is, like you said, you spend your time avoiding God. I'm busy. And one of the scary things about the silent retreat is if you spend a couple days not consuming any information and not speaking, it gets tough, it gets scary, because you will actually have memories come up of things that you totally forgot ever happened. Because I'm sure, you know, it's just like your mind is working a certain way while you're speaking. Mind is working a certain way while you're reading. Your mind's working a certain way while you're listening to audio. But if you just sit there quiet, not consuming information and not speaking, that's just something you're not used to. And you're going to have stuff enter your mind. And the problem is it's going to be painful. It's going to be scary. You've never dealt with it. You've never felt it. You know, and I'm not speaking from experience. I'm speaking with like foresight, because I haven't even done this yet. You know
yeah.
I mean?
Well,
different variations of it. Like we could go get a cabin in the woods and just don't take the phones, don't have the television, don't have anything to read. See, if I had something to read, it wouldn't matter, because I could do that for days. But if I just had to sit there with my own thoughts, you know, even if me and her were together, it'd be okay just to not have any media. Then if I go by myself somewhere where there's no possibility of me hearing anybody else's voice or me speaking, that's going to be a whole different level.
You're adding another element to that too, because you're adding expectation, the spirit of expectancy. That I know that when I mean, if we do that when we go into the prayer closet now, that's how we're able to get results Father, I'm meeting here with you. I know you're going to meet with me. Like, how long did it take for you? Like, are you there? To like, all right, Father, here I am. You know what I'm saying? Like, here I am, Lord. Until you knew it, but there's a spirit of expectancy. Even we apply that to everything. That's the law of attraction. It really is. So the law of attraction, whether it's wealth or whatever, we start using that for spiritual things as well. God, I'm expecting you to move. I'm not going to leave here until you move. And my expectation brings about my manifestation, whether it's a church service, whether it's meeting with God in the secret place, and we're not going to move until we get a word. You may have to tarry, you may have to wait a while, but you stay there, and it happens, man. It's all throughout the scriptures, people who knew who he was, or they expected to be healed when he showed up. And the doubt, on the other hand, silenced the voice of the expectancy. He can't do it. He can't do it. And he's like, all right, I won't. I can't, because you don't believe that I can. But we see all of these people, the woman with the issue of blood moved by, she expected that all I got to do is get close enough. If I could just touch his garment, I'm going to be healed. The one guy who was the paraplegic who was let down through the roof of the place where he was speaking, we got to get him close to Jesus and he'll be healed. And all of these people got what they were looking for. The universe reality works like that. We get what we're looking for. Again, going to the deep things of God is like, what do you want? You can have it. What are you believing for? I'm believing that when I step out of this boat, I'm going to be able to walk out there and touch you when I step out. If you look at the water, you look at the circumstances, situations, you're going to sink. You got to keep your eyes on me. But it's the spirit of expectancy that works in it, because you're adding that into your encounters. You're expecting it. But there's a level there, because a lot of times we come as a neophyte. We don't know anything. We're just like, all right, I guess God's here, But eventually in maturity, man, we're able to kind of facilitate these encounters for ourselves, but also for the people around us.
Yeah, a friend of mine from Southeast Asian country, Burma, or it's Myanmar now, he said, like they grew up Christian because their area was, he's up in what they call Chin land. He's like their own little ethnic group away from the mainland of Burma. And they were like Christianized by Baptists like way back in the day or whatever. So they were like kind of like born Christian. That's what I am. That's what I believe in, And then he said he started getting around more charismatic believers, like Holy Ghost filled believers and stuff like that were of his same people, but they came to America and were exposed to other groups and worship experiences and stuff. And he was blown away from the difference of how they prayed. Because he was like, their prayers almost sounded like they were commanding God. Not necessarily to that extent, but you know what I'm talking about. Yeah. There's an authority, there's a boldness to coming to his throne, and it's like me saying, TruthSeekah, come on, man, meet me here today at 3, and like expecting it. And you could just see that marked difference, and even though he kind of didn't want to agree with it at first, he was like, man, in the word of God, look at the fruit in their life, look at the power on this life, like there's got to be something to this. Yeah. And if you can't point to this and say, oh, it's evil, it's demonic, it's bad, no, this is obviously good. We're talking about people getting healed, we're talking about people getting miracles, we're talking about lives getting restored. This is good.
Yeah. Well, they'll say, well, the devil can heal people too. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard, but I've heard it. Well, the devil healed him. Actually, it wasn't Jesus, because he wanted to take the glory away from Jesus, so the devil stepped in and healed him. I'm like, you get these weird theologies, but every good and perfect gift comes from above, man. That and the spirit of expectancy and knowing, because it changes. Again, you don't walk into it like that. You don't walk into not commanding God, but commanding spirits, right? Spirit of death, I command you to leave this place. Right? There's a level of maturity there, because it starts out, we kind of start petitioning God or begging God. God, would you please heal him? God, if you love him, God, would you heal him? So there's that aspect versus speaking, like being able to walk in maturity, see in the spirit, again, tapping into those prophetic abilities. I can see that there's a connection here tied to this. First of all, we're going to get you to repent of these things and renounce these things that are like an open door that's giving free reign for these spirits to be here. And then I'm going to command them to leave when you break these ties. Because we can command them to leave all day, but if you ain't ready to close those doors, they're going to come back stronger. But then we can, we're not asking God or begging God. He's given us authority. It's like Jesus, again, there's so many, going back to Jesus on these boats, right? Traveling, the disciples on the boat with them, and they're going through a storm, and your demonic oppression is a storm. Whatever your addiction is a storm. They're going through the storm. They look at it, and they're just shook by the whole situation. We need Jesus. We got to go get Jesus. And he's like, bro, I gave y'all the power. Y'all can do the same thing that I'm doing. And he rebuked them, and he spoke to the storm. And it's the fact that they were focused on the storm when they had the power to speak to it from the beginning. So we have to understand our power and our authority in the spirit realm, walking in holiness, walking in maturity, and they have to obey. The Spirit is said, who is this man that even the winds or waves obey him? And then the scripture goes on to say, it says, look, don't even marvel. Don't even think it's deep. Y'all trying to get deep on that spirits obey you. That ain't even the thing, man. It's about faith, and it's about love and the Father's heart for you, man,
Oh, you're coming with that juice now. I'm starting to get that feeling.
Well, we don't start there, though. I mean, we can look back over our lives and see how that was a process. And I hope for the listener that this would be that this would build their faith, and you would say, "I want to get there." And you only get there by stepping out and trying it. You can hear a testimony, you can have an experience or an encounter in your life, and then you step out. You step out in prayer or in faith or whatever.
I mean, I experienced that like before I was walking with God and was just out there in the world. Like, I've been in places, like you're talking about spirits, like I always believed in God and everything, right? I just was out there on the drugs and violence. So I'd be in a house, I'd be in like an apartment or like a crack house or something. And like, some of them were so bad that I could feel that spirit of death in there. And I could almost hear it in a weird way. I could almost hear it was like a hum or a buzz. And you could just feel, people have been killed in here. And there's probably dead mice and rats and stuff under it. There's just death in here.
Go back to the old place that you grew up and you had trauma and I went and visited the place I grew up in and I had to get out of there. Like, even though I'm strong in the spirit, it's just like there's old paraphernalia laying around. Nobody lives there anymore. It was deep, dog. You know what I'm saying? Like, the vibration of what took place in there is still there. Now we have the power to cleanse the place and that kind of thing, but to sense it.
The difference now is, so I was powerless to whatever was in there at that time. Yeah. Like, this is what it is. Or say I'm outside and it's like, this is going on. It's like, well, I know what's happening next. The gun's getting ready to get pulled and somebody's getting ready to get burnt out here tonight, right? Where now, the authority that we're walking in, I'm not talking about standing there yelling Jesus or rebuking some murder spirit. I'm just talking about me standing there keeps it from happening. And it's like, now if I showed up drunk, maybe it would still happen. If I showed up high, because then you're dealing with, it kind of like messes with your divine intervention. And that's how, I don't know, I'm not trying to get into that debate. If somebody's sick and they smoke weed to cope or I'm fine with that. I'm not judging that at all. I'm just talking about in general, like if I were to smoke weed or be on some other type of substance, it interferes with that divine intervention. And then I feel powerless to it again in that scenario. But when I step up there just sober and righteous and on point, you know what I mean? I don't even mean extra on point. I just mean being who I am. I'm standing there and it doesn't happen. You know what I mean? It's like they can feel it. It's something because you're like a mobile throne of God. I know you have the Holy Spirit of God living in you. I know you, and we say like kind of in a generic way, like you got Christ living in you, or take it all the way back to Sunday school, you have Jesus in your heart. But it's so true that you're like a mobile throne of God.
Yeah.
When you stand there, that's what's going on. And that's what Jesus out in the boat and stuff when he said, don't even trip. What they didn't understand and what we found out later is Jesus went through all of that because the Father's purpose is to have many sons in righteousness.
Yeah,
that
he was the first, but he wants many. That's good.
The truth, the life, the purpose, doing greater works than him. Jesus was just the firstborn. Here's the verse: firstborn among many brethren. And that Old Testament scripture, I think it's one of the minor prophets towards the end of the Old Testament, where it talks about in the last days the saviors being upon Mount Zion, the saviors, plural, in the land. And that's the thing. If you're really connected with the Savior, then I need to see you saving something. You know, saving marriages, saving people's lives, you know what I mean? Pulling them in. I don't even care. I don't necessarily mean pulling them in the church, because you can take somebody off the street, make them your disciple. He told me disciples. He didn't say find people and drop them off at a church, find people and drop them off with a pastor. He said go and make disciples. So if I get somebody up, and people that aren't even Christian do that a lot. You got an ex-heroin addict that's always taking somebody to the clinic in the morning. You know what I mean? Always working with somebody, always discipling somebody. So if you can take somebody fresh off the street, meet with them every day, talk to them throughout the week, help them with it, and you're discipling them for 6 months, they could be a stone cold, regimented son of God with the armor on, the sword and everything. You know what I mean? And like we said, still levels to go. And that could be so much more effective than dropping them off and they sat in church for 10 years. You know, and listen to this theory, listen to this pastor.
Yeah. I've had to kind of take it upon myself to try to get people plugged in, because I can't just get born again and then find your local church, get plugged into a local church. I know that's what we used to say when we would do evangelism. Hey man, get plugged into a good church. I don't even know what the hell that is anymore. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, we have to be responsible. We have Discord, we take technology, we meet every Thursday, right? We have these people that we're doing life with. That's discipleship. Is doing life with, right? Being there for the person, trying to make things happen, pouring into them, right? You know, I can't tell you just to get plugged into a good church. You get plugged into some crazy cult, man, you know, which we've all been a part of, most likely, if we've been in Christendom and searching for any amount of time. We find some crazy stuff out there, you know, so we have to take that upon ourselves to kind of disciple those people and get them plugged in, you know?
Yeah, it's tough because you can't even go with labels, you know what I mean? Because it's if I'm not going to see them again, which nowadays, you know, there's really no excuse because you can hit them with the email address, something. There's really no excuse not to be in touch. But, you know, if it were the case that I'm never going to see them or talk to them again, you need to find a good church type of thing. I mean, you can't even comfortably say all right, so in general, I could say, hey, look, if you just went to a Methodist, a Baptist, a Pentecostal church, you'll probably be straight. Just go there. You know what I mean? I'm just kind of excluding certain things that you might not want to mess with. But who knows where you end up? Anybody can start something and call it such and such Baptist church.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It could be driving these people to commit suicide, man. You don't know what their agenda is, man. So, you know, I'm just look, God's a big boy. He can handle you. So go into the Word of God. You know, I'm not even afraid of that. If I try to read the Word of God unaided, I might come up with some wrong answers or whatever. God's a big boy. Talk to God. Study His Word to guide you, and you'll be straight. You might have to go through certain chapters and go through certain chambers and go through certain things, you know, to get more of an idea of where the truth really lies, and that's okay. Yeah. Bottom line, God is a big boy, and He can handle you. This is His earth. This is His universe. This is His world. He got you. If you're open to that, He's got you. No fear, no paranoia, no worry, no doubt. Just get in there.
Yep. Yeah, I believe it, man. Hey, do me a favor. See if you have any apps or anything or any other browsers and stuff open on your computer, because every minute or so it's kind of jarbling a little bit. So just check on that for me. It could just be your internet connection. But we do have a couple questions here in the chat that people are asking for you, and I'll read some of these. Alchemist, my buddy Chad wants to know, do you speak in tongues?
Should I demonstrate or yeah, definitely speaking.
Do it
in
on
tongues,
command.
Yeah, on command. I speak in tongues on command. And some people do, some people don't. You know, that's like a theological debated thing too. I mean, my thing is, if you don't speak in tongues at all, that's one thing. Ask the Holy Spirit about it. Ask to be filled with the Holy Spirit with that evidence. Find out what that gift is. Find out what it does, what its purpose is, how you can use it. Some people do speak in tongues when they're in an ecstatic worship experience and it begins to come out, you know, and a lot of people, I would say the majority of those that are filled with the Holy Ghost that do speak in tongues can turn it on and off, you know, because he tells us in the word, you know, it makes it plain that you can turn it on and off, because he said, well, don't stand up in front of church and ramble on and yourself up, talking about it such as like a private prayer language, you know. So I have the choice to get in the car, listen to the new Young Thug album, or I could keep that low and speak in tongues for a while, knowing that it's building myself up and edifying myself spiritually. You know what I mean? I've seen the tongues change over time too, you know, like
that's what I was going to ask you. Yeah. Like, because there's different levels of like, and I can't even explain it. You know what I'm saying? There's deep levels of like, and it's, I know this sounds crazy, but I know it's the Holy Spirit speaking through us, but it almost, there's like an ancestral ancient cry sometimes that comes out, man. And it's like, what is this, you know? And it's like in deep levels. For me, it's through deliverance, and it sounds like an old Native American Indian. Now that's my lineage, right? My grandparents are all Native American. And when we get into deliverance in some really deep level, it'll speak. I mean, the atmosphere changes. And usually it's when demons are in somebody and they don't want to come out. It's like it comes out of me and it starts speaking with authority, and it doesn't last long. I'm weeping usually, but it speaks and the situation changes. I can't turn that off and on. I have a prayer language that I have, but there's some deep levels. It's like it's almost like, move out the way. Let me at him. And if we want to say it's the Holy Spirit speaking through us, but it's an ancient cry, and it sounds like an old Native American.
Yeah, I believe it. I mean, obviously there's the potential to tap into other languages too that are spoken on earth today. You know what I mean? So so there's like different types of tongues that way, where some, because there's two different realms of interpreting your tongues to see if it's an actual language. And this is what I've talked about this several times, but I've been doing this a lot when I would be in my prayer closet or just praying in tongues, and I would start saying something over and over. I started writing it down and looking it up and trying to see, put it on Google search or just go to Google, and then eventually going to Google Translate. And I'm like saying the name of angels and like their messages that are coming through, like, we are here for you. One of them, like, I would do personal sessions with people, and it's like, burn candles to communicate with us. Like, it's some deep stuff, dog. You know, but it's Holy Spirit. Like, I'm going in. This is my prayer language, and I'm just writing down and trying to see what comes through. And it's all of like, we're here to help. We have your back. We want to be involved. Like, it's really crazy, man. Because there's no book on this. You know what I'm saying? Listen, man, I'm not even going to be able to go to work today now, because I'm just going to be speaking in tongues with Google Translate. Hey,
I'm telling you, man, like, it's crazy. It is crazy. It's a new realm, dude. And like, so there's languages that we're speaking. And for me, that language was translated to Filipino. It always comes up as Filipino in the Google Translate. But so that's like an actual language in the book of Acts. At the beginning, people came for Passover from all over the world, and they spoke other languages, and they heard people who didn't know how to speak their language declaring the gospel in their native language, and they didn't know it. And just by unction of the Holy Spirit, they were able to understand, and it was so powerful that all these people came to Christ on that one day. But then there's these other layers where we're praying in the Spirit, and it's like an angelic tongue is what the Scripture calls it. and you might not be able to interpret what they're saying, but there's a vibration and a feeling. We even know it. Like when we're praying in the spirit, we can send it forth. Like we know, like this is a binding or this is a loosing, or I'm sending forth love. And I'm sending love in Jesus' name. And because it's coming from our belly, and there's air we're pushing it up from our lungs, and we're vibrating, and we're sending out these thoughts and these intentions, and we're creating it. And it's just through the sound. It's like traveling off of the sound. People believe that it's just gibberish. You're not saying anything. Well, if it is, we're pushing a thought. Like that thought is being created and communicated and being pushed into the atmosphere.
Well, if I was speaking straight up slang, it would sound like gibberish to some, but those in the know would say he's saying something real powerful right there.
Yeah, exactly. Those in the know. Yeah.
And I would say that whatever we put out there in tongues, I would say has to be more powerful than just our native language. I mean, that's what makes it so powerful. I could say, oh, Father God, please bless that person. You know what I mean? Or something, right? But the message in tongues is hitting on things that my conscious mind doesn't know about. It makes you more, you're hitting on things that you might not even know about.
Yeah.
So you're talking about another realm.
Yeah. So that's just like, especially in your own prayer closet time, just when God's like doing surgery on going the layers of the onion and really showing you things you didn't know, and he's interceding for you. And the scripture says that the Spirit intercedes through us, right? And that's what's taking place. And it's a lot of times we know, like we can feel it. Man, I feel that unforgiveness leaving. All I'm doing is praying in tongues. I have an intention, but I can feel unforgiveness leaving me. It's like literally lifting off of my etheric field. I can feel it. It was here. Now it's not, through speaking in tongues and praying, or somebody praying over you in tongues, or in English, right?
Right. Let me make sure your listeners get this one. What you just talked about, feeling it leaving, the Bible says, put on the garment of praise for the spirit of heaviness. Change. Put on the garment of praise for the spirit of heaviness. So you had a spirit of heaviness. You're depressed, you're down, you don't feel good. You don't feel like praising. You're not praising because you're happy. You're down, you're broken, you're hurting, you don't have the answers. But you decide, and it might take your willpower, all your strength, and it's a decision to say, thank you, Father. Thank you that I'm alive. Thank you thank you for everything you've given me. I know you're going to give me the answer. And you turn on that praise, and that spirit of heaviness will lift. And that's the other thing about prayer. Prayer kind of seems silly to me in a way. And here's why. I feel like I should be able to just say, God, I believe in you. Do whatever you want in my life, and I'll just roll with it. But for some reason, he doesn't work like that. He wants you to talk to him through. If I'm a millionaire and I just tell my son, like, hey, man, you can get it all. The bank account's endless, whatever. But he never talks to me. No, I want to know what's up. Come and talk to me. What's your next move? What did you want to do? What did you want help with? You know what I mean? Like, I want that relationship with my son. So that's how it is with God. And that's what I'm saying about encouraging the listeners. You guys just put on that garment of praise for that spirit of heaviness. I'm confused. I don't know what to do next. I got problems. Yeah. I'm hurt. Put on that garment of praise. And then when it comes to prayer, actually take that time. It could be in the car. It could be while you're walking. But if you want, get in a room by yourself, shut the door, get down on your knees, put your head to the floor, or put your head up like this, either way, and pray through everything that's in your heart. It doesn't have to be fancy. It's just like, Father, I name each family member by name, name everybody by name. I'm covering everything that concerns me. I'm taking everything that concerns me to the Father, and then he's like, yes, this is how I want to get in on. That's how he is. See what I'm saying? Like, to me, it doesn't seem like it needs to be that way. Yeah. But he's so infinite that's the type of things he put together to communicate with us. in our.
That's why we say it's a relationship, not religion. Religion will say it is what it is. It's been done, and you have you go through the the routine. But the relationship is like, look, man, I want to know how you feel. How you feel? I just sent this trial your way. How you really feel? Tell me how you really feel. Man, I hate you, bro. Like, why would you do that? He's okay. Tell me more. You know what I'm saying? Just being open up and honest versus like keeping it to yourself or harboring resentment or whatever. It's like, look, and just but there's power when we move past, our situations and circumstances and begin to praise them. I mean, that's the whole thing with the disciples on the ship. They were focused on the storm. That's what we do. We panic. We freak out. I can't pay a bill. It's like, why the hell you focus on the bill, bro? I got your bill. I got all of them. Focus on me. And I got you. And I sent you the bill to see who you're going to focus on. If you really believe me, you're telling all these people to trust and have faith, but I just sent you a bill, a $300 bill, and you're freaking out over that? Nah, man. You know what I'm saying? So there's these tests and stuff. He wants us to set our affections upon him. He wants us to turn to him and focus on him versus focusing on the storms. Because in the flesh, there's no reason for you to rejoice. You should be walking in fear. You should be walking in defeat. People are gossiping about you. You just lost your job. Your wife's threatening to leave you. You should be disgusted. But faith says, no, I got you, man. I'm setting these things up for you to build character within you. I'll never leave you. I'll never forsake you. Do you believe me or not? Stand true to that. Don't stand true to the naysayers and all of the situations and circumstances, because they change. They change with the wind. That's why, we wake up some days feeling like we're on the mountaintop on top of the world, and then the next day we feel like we're walking through the valley. Like, it's literally days, some people minutes and hours. We're just like we're bipolar in the spirit. But faith is like, nah, I'm constant, man. I'm here for you. I'm not changing. Behold, I'm the Lord thy God. I change not. My promises are yes and amen. The things I started within you, I'm going to finish them. I didn't send you out here to leave you. I got you. And you say, no, you don't. No, you don't. You wouldn't have let this happen. And we start questioning. We start looking at the situation. We start magnifying the situation, magnifying the storm. He's like, look at me, man. And he would desire. That's a form of worship. It's like, you know what I'm saying, your free will offering. You worship him because you get to choose the storm or me. You know what I'm saying? The money, my face or my hand. You know what I'm saying? You get to choose. And he takes delight. The Lord delights in the praises of his people. And that's where the power really makes, because you stay in that. You stay in gratitude. Yeah, I ain't got nothing, but I got you. And I always go back to my heartbeat and my breath. I start there. Every prayer, Lord, thank you for my breath. I'm here. I can claim myself. My heartbeat, I'm good. I got my hands, I got my feet. Let's make something happen, God. Thank you.
And you have the decision, you have the conscious choice to do that every day. So my thing is like, do that as soon as your eyes open. Mm-hmm. Go into that. I know it's hard when you're stumbling to the bathroom or whatever, everything's kind of working against you at that point, especially if yesterday was a success. You see what I'm saying? Like, those forces are going to try to you were making progress yesterday. We got to try to hold you down. Yeah. So you need to do whatever you need to do to get there. If you need to lift your hands, if you need to shout, if you need to just put on your shoes and go walk around the block first thing, get on the treadmill, go straight, whatever it is, but start with that thankfulness and that gratefulness. And it's a choice. It's a decision. Like, I'm finding out more that like decision, that word kind of comes from like almost like a surgical procedure. Decision. It's cutting other things off because this is what you were deciding. So, I could wake up and flip it straight to Facebook or whatever, get that negativity, flip it straight to the news, or, wake up and think about my problems, my issues or whatever. But if you wake up and go straight into that gratefulness and thankfulness as a discipline. Yeah. Sometimes we're so spiritual that we like try to discount things like disciplines, and disciplines is where it's at. I've been watching nonstop. This has been my latest kick. I've been watching dudes that have YouTube and, like hard level 4 yard California prison, and everything is about your discipline. You have to get up at 3 a.m. You have to do the exact workout. you don't have a choice.
Who you been watching? I've been watching a couple of those guys too.
Yeah,
telling prison stories and stuff and how to survive, and it's pretty interesting.
It's so real, man. When you see that, like, it just kind of brought me back to a discipline, which we're talking about disciples. You keep talking about these disciples in the boat, right? So those to be a disciple means you're a disciplined one. So you have to have certain mental discipline. So people are afraid of this. When we talked about speaking in tongues and we talked about prayer, I don't see anything wrong. I actually see it as a power if I say, you know what? I'm going to make sure I speak in tongues a half hour every day. And people don't like that because it doesn't sound so spiritual when you put time constraints on it or like trying to measure it or whatever. Nah, man, it's a discipline. You know what I mean? I'm going to read X amount of Bible a day. Yeah, I might go into some other things because that's where I ended up that day. But I'm at least going to make sure I get in this word. I'm at least going to make sure I do this much of a workout. I'm at least going to make sure I spend this much time praying or pray about these things. You see what I'm saying? It's like the discipline, and then you can go beyond that. Like Kobe Bryant can do something flashy, but that's on top of all the disciplines. He would stand there 3 hours a day working on his footwork. The discipline. The fancy stuff comes up on top of it. You see what I'm saying?
The discipline is like what got you there. You know what I'm saying? And people judge that dunk though. Oh, that was too flashy. He could have missed the shot. Why did he do that? You don't know the training. You don't know what he's been going through. I mean, Steve Nash and his handling skills, right? That joker used to walk around with a tennis ball all throughout class and college campuses, just dribbling the tennis ball everywhere he went. It's like, look at his handles, the skill. He's been training for that. King David. He said, look, he got a giant ahead of him. He's like, look, I don't think he could take a giant. No, you ain't heard about what he did? Dude killed a lion. He killed a bear. You know, it's like, what? He killed a bear? Really? I would like to see you. He's been training, and God gets us in this position where He's sending us little tests. Like, I'm training you, man. You got to see that giant, whatever that giant's different for all of us. Whatever that giant is, it's mocking your God. It's mocking your calling. It's mocking your future, your destiny. You look over in the land, and there's literally giants in the land. Like, hey, I can't take them, not by myself. But he's like, no, I've been training you, man. You got this. You the only one that knows how to take out a giant. You know, and the giants, just like I said, they show up in different ways in our life. But God is the one of just knowing He is the all, man. Like, He got you. He led you to it. He'll lead you through it. You know, He's going to let you go through the giant, and that giant's going to fall. Whatever it is, it's different for all of us, man. If it's a job that we feel like we're stuck in for the rest of our lives. I mean, it's for a lot of people. Man, I'll be stuck here. I'm going to be working at Walmart for the rest of my life. It's powerful, man. People are putting this stuff to work, bro. Like, literally, people are listening to this and the encouragement and the testimonies that I'm giving of what I've been through, because what God's done for me, not only can He do it for you, He wants to do it for you, right? And people are like stepping out and listening, and they're starting ministries. They're stepping out and starting. They're putting out services that they do for people, and counseling, and it's being able to supplement income, and they're getting to do what they get to wake up and like give counsel and wisdom that they've been working and get paid for it. And people are stepping out of those Walmart jobs into a bigger and better job or pursuing their dreams because they're hearing it. They're slaying those giant, the Walmart uniform. They're slaying the giant, man. Whatever it is, it's different for all of us, but it's working for people. These stories are applicable, man. We're not talking about a dude who lived 2,000 years ago, 6,000 years ago. We're talking about the giant who may be your boss, who's breathing down your neck, who's always looking for you to do something to mess up. You know what I'm saying? So he can check you. He gets a thrill out of checking you every day. That might be your giant. Maybe for this season, maybe for this day, for this week, but that's your giant. But God's going to, again, do what you said. He's going to make your enemies your footstool. He has a beautiful way of doing that. And as long as you have to stay faithful. You can't respond according to the flesh. You don't want to mess it up. Even if you have messed it up, there's grace, right? But He has a beautiful way of scripting this thing out for you. Before you were formed in your mother's womb, He knew you. He had all this stuff figured out, and He scripted it out. It's like a play. And he's writing the stuff out. He's telling the angels, look, in 30 years, I'm going to loose you, and it's going to be a sense of depression that hits them. but that depression is going to create a dependency and an urgency. So every morning when Todd wakes up, he's going to pray. He's going to praise me. He's going to look to me, and I'm going to put these other things in his life, and he can look to those things, but he's going to in turn choose me every day. And he scripted that, and he does it for all of us, man. I feel the Holy Ghost on this, and it's deep, man. That's how he does it.
Man, one thing I'll say about the job thing is difficult. And like you're saying, that's a reality a lot of people are dealing with. And you mentioned like people working at Walmart. So my thing is this: if they're working at Walmart, then that lets me know that they're pretty practical people, because you wouldn't be doing that on some spiritual woo-woo, right? So you're working at Walmart. This is what I had to do just recently with my job. This is my advice. I kind of had to take my life back. This is the practical wisdom. This is the discipline. My thing is, they say, we need you here at this time tomorrow. And then I got to stay X amount of hours, usually 10 hours, right?
Yeah.
So I don't have time to do anything before work. And then I get off so late, I don't have any time to do anything after work. So I feel like I'm just stuck at my job. I'm not, weeks go by, and I'm not doing anything to get me out of the job or to move further with what I'm actually excited about in life. So I had to use the discipline to say, and it was like a download from the Father, man, because practical is spiritual. So my thing was this: all right, if I got to work 10 hours, I got to sleep 7. That's different for everybody, but I know I'm good with 7, right? Less, I struggle, you know what I mean? So I'm going to bed at this time. I'm sleeping 7 hours. If I have to work 10 hours today, I got 4 hours to do whatever I need to do before I got to get ready for work. Today, I only have to work 8 hours, so I got 6 hours to do what I got. I took my time back. I redeemed the time.
Yeah.
So now I just have 4 hours. You know what I mean? God forbid if I had to work 12 hours, then I might only have 2 hours. You know what I mean? But I'm going to get that 20-minute workout. I'm still going to do all the same things. I'm going to get the workout. I'm going to get the reading time. I'm going to get the writing time. I'm going to get the prayer time. I'm going to prepare my food. You know what I mean? I'm going to have this time to do what I need to do. And it's causing me to, like I said, redeem the time, make the most of my time so I can work on my writing, so I can begin to work on things I want. I mean, you know, I need to get on the internet and do this stuff. I hate it, but I need to use the tools. You know what I mean? I need to get accustomed to it. And I had to redeem my time to start making sure I have it so I can do stuff like we're doing right now.
Exactly. I believe that if God finds you faithful with the few, he'll make you ruler over more. Let me give him 2 hours and see what he does with it. Well, he's tired. Yeah, but you got to push through it. Let me see if you're faithful with these 2 hours for a week, I'm going to give you a day. You're going to get a day off next week. And I'm going to see what you do with that day. I'm tired. I'm going to rest. I had a buddy. People they don't see the work that goes into it. Oh, you got a podcast? I had one dude hit me up. It's like, man, I wish I could do what you're doing. You're just sitting up talking to beautiful women on your podcast. It's like, well, do it. Create it. You talking about just like, I'm blessed. I built this. It's hard. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's still hard. I got to, fill the calendar, find people that I resonate with. Hopefully, there's a bunch of, but they don't see all the work that goes into it. But if God finds you faithful with the few, man, he's going to give you more. But if you can't be faithful with what he's given you, he ain't going to trust you with more, man. And that's just how it's a universal principle for all of us. We all have the same amount of hours in the day. And as long as the earth is here, there's always going to be seed time and harvest. And there are people who look me up and say, oh yeah. No, you got to get the butts out the way. Yeah, but look, I had a buddy of mine. He's like, man, I only got an hour for lunch break. An hour? Most people got 30 minutes. Dude, you know how long it takes to send an email? Take 10 minutes and you send out as many emails as you can in that 10 minutes. Looking for guests, looking for opportunities. You want to do a pod? I ain't got time to send out. Hey, you better redeem the time. You got to do something, man. It ain't going to be handed to you. You have this hard work, But it pays off, and it always pays off. Hard work always pays off. Like where you put a seed in the ground, it's going to come to fruition. You may have to water it the next day, and that seed might be an email. Hey, would you like to come on my podcast as a guest? Man, I talked to Busy Bone from Bone Thugs and Harmony. Like I look it up. I'm a little kid, bro. I remember in the 3rd or 4th grade going to the principal's office. They said, this guy's a little off. Let's send him to the counselor. I talked to the counselor. They're like, hey, so tell me, what do you like? I'm like, I don't know. It's like, well, sing one of your favorite songs to me. I walk, I'm rapping Bone Thugs about robbery and killing. I'm rapping this dude's lyrics when I'm 7 years old. And now I'm interviewing this guy on my podcast. He's texting me. I have his phone number. It's like, you got to step out. You got to believe God. Like, I sent this man a message. He was able to look at my work and my catalog, say, okay, let me go. I'm going to trust him. You know, a lot of people, there's people who, I have friends who have beautiful podcasts. They reach out to a guest and the guest says, nah, I don't want to do it. But then I email him, oh man, sure. And the Lord just like allows it. They don't see like the work on the back end, man, what God's able to do, bro. It's crazy. And
I'm thankful for that, what you're talking about, because now that's my claim to fame, is that I'm on a podcast that you had Busy Bone on. See?
Well, Busy Bone was on the same podcast.
Come on, man. I gotta be somebody at this point.
It's weird because I've talked, I mean, even for me still, like I'm talking to people that when I was a little kid, like I'm hours and hours and hours and hours of his lyrics. And now he's talking to me on the phone. And, you know, even Jordan Maxwell, some of these other people who I look up to in the realm, and the dude, like this is manifestation. You know what I'm saying? This dude just wrote the forward in my book, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on, like people are like, you talk to him, I can't get in touch with him. It's like, it's God's favor, but he is not a respecter of persons, right?
This is why you can do it, because you recognize that you live with a limitless God and a limitless universe. Yeah. Also, the other thing is you are not a hater at all. It's ridiculous. It's so hard for me to understand haters. I don't have that in me. I never did. I got plenty of other flaws, but being a hater has never been one of them. Yeah. And the thing is, when you're not a hater and you genuinely love people and appreciate what they do and what they have or whatever, and it just makes you that type of person to open those doors. I'm the same way. People that I'm just genuinely interested in, that I would want to talk to. I want to have, and it's not like I'm starstruck and I'm not trying to get anything from them. Like, I want to ask Ghostface Killer some questions. I want to talk to certain people. I'm fascinated with them.
For sure.
I love what they do. I love what they bring to the table. And I go in there feeling like, hey, they're going to love me too. Because I know I'm reaping what I sow, man. I'm sowing nothing but good, and that's what I'm getting back. You know what I mean? And I'm not asking them for power. Yeah. I'm politely showing them that I have it. You see what I'm saying? And I'm not like, oh my God, you're this famous person. I don't know if you want to be my friend. I'm like, hey, so glad to meet you, and I'm sure the feeling's mutual. See what I'm saying? Sure. Because that's what I'm putting out. It should be no other way.
It ties back into your expectancy as well, right? Like when I'm expecting it. We want to say law of attraction. People get scared of that. Like, that's for what you're seeking, you find. You know what I'm saying? But then you have to work for it. It takes work. If I didn't send the email to Busy Bone, if I didn't message him, it wouldn't have happened. If I wouldn't have hit Jordan Maxwell up, and because there's reasons like he's too busy. And I've told friends, and they're like, yeah, you're going to have to pay him a good bit of money if you're going to get Jordan Maxwell to write your book. You know what I'm saying? It's like all of these things. I ain't got no money. Hell, you know what I'm saying? So like these different things that come up, and we're like, reasons not to. That's a storm. That's a giant that stands in between money and Jordan Maxwell writing your forward. Well, he wrote it, and I ain't got no money. So you put two and two together. You know what I'm saying? But it's these doubts and these storms that we create. And the universe, man, and God, it's limitless, bro. Of if we can expect it, if you can believe it, you can receive it. I don't put limits on God at all, man. And the things I don't judge people, because I've seen some wild stuff in the spirit, and I don't believe people to even take my word for it. But it's for you to experience and you to encounter for yourselves. And we have to break down your whole theology to explain one thing that you've encountered in the spirit. You know what I'm saying? What took you a lifetime to, and we try to, right? We try to, show grace and make it available and applicable for people and articulate it, right? And I do a very bad job of that sometimes, but we try, and everybody's different, but just to see the beauty in the blueprint and see God in all things, man, and to see God in a Ghostface Killer conversation. He ain't a Christian. He ain't this one. No, there's some gems in there. There's some gems you're gonna get, you know.
Yeah, no question. And the other thing too is, I see people find God on the other side of going 1,000 miles an hour, maybe even in like a crazy direction. You see what I'm saying? So like I was telling you about the pickup artist thing, right?
Say it again. You kind of broke up.
So these guys, yeah, I'm sorry about that. I'm on my wife's MacBook, so if I try to touch anything on here, I'm gonna mess it up. You know what I mean? So I just gotta kind of let it ride. Where was I at? Oh, the pickup artist guys, right?
Okay,
so they got into attracting women, you know, trying to get relationships going with women and whatever, and started kind of like doing it as a numbers game, approaching women, contacts, follow-ups, dates, whatever. And maybe it was guys that weren't successful with women before that got into this thing. This is their new video game. This is where the fun is, right? So you're talking about guys that ran through hundreds, maybe even 1,000 women in a period of time. And the crazy thing is, they find God on the other side of that. Now, I'm not recommending you do that, but what I'm saying is they go so far, it's like a prodigal son type thing. They go so far in that direction that they come back on the other side and say, you know what's real? One man, one woman, marriage. That's what I want. You know what's real? The family structure. You know what's real? People that you really can know and love and trust. That's what's real. So they find it on the other side of craziness, right? So you look at Kanye West. It would be easy to look at Kanye West and say, he's not really into Christ because I know he's just a crazy person that's out there, you know, and now he's trying to sprinkle some of that in. No, what Kanye was actually saying from what I've seen so far is he said, y'all been watching me chase a gold statue. He's like, on the other side of all this craziness of chasing a gold statue, I'm finding out that Jesus Christ is where it's really at. You know, so wherever somebody's at in their journey or whatever, man, it's all good. It's all good right where they're at. It's just further being exposed to more light, taking it to another level. You know what I'm saying? Growing from faith to faith, from glory to glory, your expectation rising. You know, and I'm here for it. Like I said, I'm not a hater. I'm a congratulator, man. I'm into it.
Yeah, that going back to that is deep because like there's not the hater thing there, but there's a jealousy. But it could be a godly jealousy though. It's like what you do with the jealousy. See, your jealousy turns you into a hater. The scripture says that I will make you the envy of all nations. So they're gonna envy your marriage. They're gonna envy your checking account. They're gonna envy your car. They're gonna envy everything about you because it's blessed. They're gonna envy your children, everything, man. Your ministry, your podcast, your job. I'm gonna make you the envy of all nations. They're gonna want to be you, and so with that jealousy, like and it happens for me where like I would watch people with a podcast and they come in here and they just be themselves. And they're just having a conversation with Todd Benton, and they're just there's no strings attached. They're just talking. People are listening. People are whatever, and they could be themselves. And I was jealous of that. Like I can't be myself because if I really say how I feel, I'm gonna get in trouble. You know what I'm saying? Or I can't be myself because of this. I can't be myself because of that. And I begin to see people who was walking in the spirit of authenticity, and I begin to be envious of those people. I could have been a hater, man. Forget that fool, bro. Forget him. He ain't nothing. And find flaws and all this kind of stuff. But I like, look, how? So there's a jealousy and an envy there. But it's like, how do you respond? Because I want it in my life. I'll always talk about people, tattoo artists. I would go get tattooed, and these dudes, they show up, they make bank. They're making great money. They're sitting down with me for an hour making $300. You know what I'm saying? And they just love what they're doing. They're just laughing. Hey, they're just hanging out. They wake up, hang out, and draw for a living and make bank. And I'm like, man, I got to go to my truck driving job. I got to work 14 hours tomorrow and just be isolated. And I hate it. Like I literally felt like it was becoming a cage around me. I was just stuck in 14 hours, dude. But I would just be moved. I want to do that, man. I would see people who just, they might not even be Christians, right? They just are spiritual people, but they just unapologetic, and this is them. Joe Rogan, this is who he is. And it would create an envy in me. It's like, how do I get that in my life? And I would just kind of see what they were doing. And a lot of times they were talking about spiritual practice and just they're talking about discipline. They're talking about these things and don't give up, and I began just to implement it in my life. And so there I was envious and I was jealous of what they were doing, but I responded. It rose up in my heart, but I didn't respond in like being bitter or turning into a hater. But I was like, you know what? If he could do it, I can do it. Right. And that's how people watch what we're doing. I do private sessions and counseling with people, and most of them want to do what we're doing. And they could they can turn into a hater, which they do. We have so many haters out there. But those people say, you know what, man, let me know how you did it, bro, because I want to try it. If it worked, and again, I'm letting them know, I'm not special. And we have all kind of experiences and ecstatic encounters with angels or whatever. We have so much to bring to the table. And we understand that what God has done for us, he's willing to do for you. It's available, but you have to put in the work. Anybody listening, that bliss and the vision you have, it's almost like God's taunting you, but it's like, look, you got to step out. You have to step out and you have to be faithful and you have to pursue it. Because there's somebody out there who wants it more than you, right? And that person's going to get it. And he gives seed to the sower, man. He knows what he's doing. He's going to, as long as you're showing up, it's consistency. And that's what I learned. Consistency is key, whether it was a podcast or whether it's a ministry or my prayer life or whatever,
Every idea that I've had that I didn't capitalize on and put the work in, 5 years later, I see somebody else doing it.
Yeah.
So you're going to spend the rest of your life saying, oh, I had that idea. Oh, I thought of that thing back in 2007. You got to put that thing out there, man. You got to put that thing out there. Believe it. Like we're saying, we're talking about praying about it. We're talking about putting the work in. We're talking about the discipline. We're talking about the gratefulness. We're talking about recognizing the limitless God, the limitless universe. We're talking about not being a hater. I think that was perfect what you said about the jealousy thing. Like, if you call it a godly jealousy or a godly envy, I can totally identify with that. It's like, oh man, you're on that level now. You're doing that now. Like, how'd you get there? Yo, I want that.
Yeah.
For me, it never goes that other direction. I guess it's so easy for people to be like, oh, he don't do that. And when I've had conversation with people that are haters, like, this guy is so pissed that his cousin that doesn't deserve it got a brand new car. Man, I bust my butt all week and and this sorry dude, and I explain to them how they're being a hater, and they'll even agree with me. But when I walk away, they just go right back into it. And the thing that really sucks is when they've done it to me. I've explained it to somebody that I pour my heart into, that I genuinely love, that I would do anything for, and they know it, but they still hate on me. And I expose that and show them how they're doing that, and they agree with me and almost apologize about it. But I turn around and next week they bite me anyway. They can't help it.
I had it happen.
Yeah. A root of bitterness.
Yeah.
And it talks about how ugly envy can be.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I'm mislabeled as like being like prideful or arrogant or something like that. It's not that at all, but I think I compound that perception, because what they don't understand is I'm speaking to this person as if you're better than me, or we're equal, or we're the same. There's nothing about me coming towards you where I'm like trying to shine on you, right?
For sure.
Except when I'm joking about it and acting like that, right? And that's when I'm being sarcastic. And I'm only doing that because I know I'm not better than you.
Exactly.
I know you can have whatever I have, or whatever, you think you want, or whatever. But people can't handle it, man. They flip it on me. People think I'm being mean to them. People think I'm yelling at them. People think that I'm like shining on them, stunting on them, whatever. And like, it's got me in trouble a couple times, but it's kind of refreshing when people recognize what I want to be around people who make me godly jealous. I want to be around people that are getting it. I'm like, how'd you do that? I want to do that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I want to be in a podcast for a living. I want to sit there and talk to people I'm interested in. You know what I mean? Like when I get around people that have success in any kind of way, I'm with it.
Yeah.
I love it. I can respect it even if I don't agree with it. Oh, this dude's clearly the best drug dealer. You know what I mean? I'm not saying he should be doing that. I don't agree with drugs or drug use. You know what I mean? But I see the discipline. I see this dude's character. I see how he got there, and I can be influenced by it. I'm influenced by Navy SEALs. I'm influenced by Muslims. I'm influenced by drug dealers. I'm influenced by business people, gangs, all kinds of stuff, because it's just the principles behind it.
Yeah, and you can learn how they got there or why they're doing it.
Huh?
You can learn the principles of how they got there or why they're doing it. Like the gang thing, right? That you can look at the gang culture and then look at church culture. And there's a lot of similarities, right? Okay, somebody who didn't have a family, somebody who wanted to be accepted, somebody who needed a father, right? Many of us come into churches or even cults because we didn't have that father in that cult. That charismatic person became that to us, right? And there's so many similarities, so you'll be able to kind of see the similarities in all of this stuff and ambitions and pursuits and stuff, and see why they got there and really be intrigued by it, not judge the person. You know, there's a lot of people who, people come on here and we talk about ideas that I'm not for, and I just try to have a civil discussion. And if I don't cut them off in mid-sentence, which I didn't cut them off, but I kind of do it with grace sometimes. If it's like a little bit too much, wait, I don't know. So sometimes I'll do it, but I really wait till the end. But it's like, look, I'm intrigued to understand why you feel that way. And a lot of times people wear their emotions and heart on their sleeve, and you know it. Maybe it's discernment of spirits. We've gotten good at reading people. You know what I'm saying? But we know why. You can hear how a person talks, and you can see what they're lacking in their mental. You know what I'm saying? They're lacking something, and why they feel that way. And so for me, it's a beauty in that, not judging people. The polygamists, I want to know why you believe that. First of all, I probably know why you believe it. You had, the Buddhists. Why are you a Buddhist? For me, why am I a Christian? At my lowest time when I needed God, Christ showed up. If Buddha would have showed up, I'd have been I'd have been a Buddhist. But at my lowest point, it was Christ who came to me. Where were you at, man, at your lowest when you came to salvation and the saving grace of Jesus?
So when I was a little kid, I was in a Sunday school class. My grandmother was faithful, and I remember being a little kid asking Jesus to be my savior and stuff, right? And then, that was that. I also knew I wanted sex, drugs, and hip hop, you know what I mean? So I went on with that. That was the focus. Jesus wasn't the focus. So the weird thing was I spent a few years doing that. Like I was deemed an incorrigible youth. I was in court a lot as a juvenile. Ended up getting indicted by the feds for distribution of coke when I was 17. Kind of like slid through that because I was a juvenile, and continued on the same process, selling a lot of drugs, just trying to put more money in the shoebox, just liquor heavy, PCP, staying high, the girls, the whole thing. Wanted to be the biggest drug dealer I could be. That was my thing. You know what I'm saying? We had a guy in the DC area who was like the top dog. I wanted to be like him. And then my thing was, once I got to that level, then I want to be like Pablo. Like I wanted to be the top of the food chain. That was my only ambition, to be a drug dealer. And then one day in the midst of that, I started to kind of get a little divine dissatisfaction with it. It wasn't doing it for me anymore. You know what I mean? It's like, more coke, more money in the shoebox, trying to take it to that next level. Some things happened, all my people got busted. It kind of lost it kind of was starting to lose its appeal. And I was about 19 years old at the time. And I was sitting in my car, probably just like smoking a cigarette or whatever. And all of a sudden, this voice, I won't say audible, but probably inner audible, was just like, I got a better way. That's the voice I heard, loud and clear, knew it was God. God said, So I came, I walked into the house that I was staying at the time or whatever, or kept drugs and money at. And I walked in and this is what I said. I'm getting ready to become a Christian. And they kind of laughed me out. You know what I mean? They just thought I was high or whatever, and I was like, I asked the girl, I was like, you got a Bible in here? Does your mom got a Bible or something? And I started trying to read it. Didn't really understand it. But I just walked out of there that day like God just made an appearance. I wasn't seeking. I wasn't asking. I wasn't knocking. I was just chilling. I was just going through my routine. And all of a sudden, he just showed up and snatched me right there. And then, like, I'm flushing weed. I'm throwing scales away. I think I threw guns away. You know what I mean? I didn't throw money away. But what I did start doing was going to church, just a little small church with a little offering basket up front. And I felt like it was blood money. Are you, when it pauses like that, are you missing me for a second?
Just for a second. I hear you. Yeah, blood money.
I felt like it was blood money. So I didn't know how to feel about it. I didn't know if God wanted it or whatever, but I instantly lost my love of money. That's all I cared about was money. I called on the name of Jesus. Instantly lost my love of money. Didn't care about it at all. So I would go to church, reach in the shoebox, grab a stack of hundreds, not even count them, just grab a stack of money and toss it in the plate. And I just did that for a while, you know what I mean? And like I ended up having to I went and got a job, started taking care of my kids full time, going to church 2, 3, 4 times a week, and had to basically go back to zero and start from the ground up, like financially and mentally and socially. A lot of my friends went to prison. Really go outside to hang out with or do anything. So everybody else got locked up, and I feel like I kind of locked myself up. That's what God seemed fit. If I needed to be locked up and that would have been better for me to get my head right, that's what would have happened. But what was better for me is to stay out here, get rid of all that, and then start going through this word and growing spiritually, and see things from a different perspective.
Man. That's how bro, and that's a very sobering thing that we need to remember and we go back to. But just remembering that place when God cleaned you up, pulled you out of that stuff, and then when you go back to those people, a lot of times, like for me, we move state and we'd go visit, and I want to say hello and go by their house and I'm following Jesus now, and they're like cracked out and there's cockroaches all over there's old cups with cockroaches in it. There's alarm clocks with cockroaches, and they're just like zoned out on meth. And but I wasn't to that point yet with all these people. And I never smoked meth or whatever, but they had graduated to meth. Like the people who were smoking weed and doing pills and stuff, they graduated to meth. And then they started to deteriorate and it started going down their health and their living and just bugged out. So, all right, man, I'll see you later. It's like, wow, we would have been right there with them, Then I go see another friend, the guy who was the kingpin. He had it all, had all the money, nice lowrider, sound system, always had drugs, whatever. Dude's living with some random woman, missing all his teeth, smoking crack, ain't got no money. It's like, dude, you were on top. And I get to see, I'm like, and the Lord's like, yeah, you would have been right there with these people, and see, because when we were in it, it wasn't like that. I mean, it was only a year, maybe 2 years, and just come back and see where everybody was, man, and to see their story and stuff. And I mean, I have compassion for those people, and I try to reach out to them, but that could have been me. You know what I'm saying? Should have been me, but God,
Yeah, my thing is my main addiction was selling drugs. You know what I mean? It probably would be something other than crack now, but I was in the 90s, so selling crack, coke, that was it. You know what I mean? That was my main addiction. That's what I really cared about. Everything else just had to do with that. And, that's what we got arrested for. That's what everybody got busted for. That's what the homies went away for. And the thing is, I had same charges, similar charges to some of these dudes They all got taken straight to the Fed building. I was a juvenile, went through the juvenile court system, mom signing me out, got to go to court, everything getting dropped down to different charges because of me being a juvenile. So me and these other guys, because I was under 18, these dudes were getting shackled, put on planes, buses coming out behind walls in Texas, Arizona, whatever, gone 10, 15 years. You know what I mean? People took the stand on them and gave them a whole lot of time. None of that happened with me because I just pled guilty to a lesser charge and just slid right through, where if it would have been a couple months later, then I would have been on the stand, and they would, because I saw the paperwork. They had plenty to say about me. It's just that none of that came into play in the courtroom. And by the time I went to court, I was already walking with God, and I was at peace no matter what. I didn't know if I was going to get locked up or not. I was cool either way. When I came to God and just got like smacked by God, I was at peace with whatever. You know what I mean? I could have died in that moment and been straight to jail. You know what I mean? Whatever. I could have been dead, broke. It was the actual born again experience where I was a brand new baby. You see what I'm saying? And I watched these guys. They came home. I mean, we got busted in 94. So I watched these guys come home in the early 2000s, and now they're back for another 15 years.
Yeah.
Because they can't stop their addiction, which is getting that money. You know what I mean? And that was my hardest thing. Like, it took me from age 19 all the way to in my 30s to finally now to not have a desire to sell drugs. Like, I do not want to sell drugs and would not, no matter what. But that thing, I had to fight that thing forever. You know what I mean? I had to fight that thing forever. But I always remember that when God came to me, his exact words were, I have a better way. A better way of what? Well, ours was a, you know what I mean? So he's saying he's got a better way for me to use whatever gifts in me, to use whatever drives in me, whatever hustle I have in me. He's got a better way. You know, and I had to be very careful to find out what that way is, because I could jump on anything. I could be selling clothes. I could be selling sneakers. I could be selling cars, and all that would be okay. You know what I mean? But that's not my destiny. That's not my calling. You know, it's more about using my voice and speaking to people. You know what I mean? So I had to be careful with what I want to call like preaching a hustle. It could be. I had to be careful with what hustle I use. You know what I mean? Because he's like very specific about what he wants to have me doing, basically being more like a mouthpiece and a speaker.
Oh, for sure. I mean, and walking in your destiny and your dreams and whatever this is as a podcast and as a ministry, like, is again birthed out of being consistent. And I tell people that because people like you who are like creative and you got all these ideas and you just laid it out. I could be doing this, I could do that. And your mind can kind of follow it down that path, each one, and see a future. And that's because you're a visionary as well. But we're pulled by all this stuff, and we got to make sure, like, hold on, that's not my destiny. And we've probably, you probably have too. I know I have consciously started things and knew it, like when we're doing it, this isn't the will of God. And I know it's going to fall apart. And we do it for 2 weeks, we do it for 3 months, whatever. And we're like, I knew from the get-go this is what I wasn't supposed to be doing. And we wasted time, we wasted money, energy, and effort for trying to, you know, take another route or whatever the case is. But it's about being consistent with what God has given you, figuring out what that is. And that's one of the hardest parts, though, for a lot of people, is they're willing to do the work. They're ready to step out, but they don't know exactly what it is. Like, they don't know what it looks like, or is it all of this or a piece of this, or maybe it's going to look like the church. Maybe it's going to look like what TruthSeekah is doing. You know what I'm saying? So they're just trying to get their vision. Once they get their vision, they can run with it, like the scripture says, but they got to get the vision. And for us who are real creative and stuff, it's hard. Because we'll do a podcast for a week, then we'll join a band the next week, you know, because we can do it all. We want to do it all, but just because we want it don't mean we're supposed to, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I did that. Like, I had a clothing store. I was selling clothes, running with that for a while, music, you know, and it's like stuff that, you know, you're gifted in, you're excited about, you're talented about, but like you said, it's kind of a dead end road. And we got to be careful, because I noticed whenever I was putting time and energy into those lesser things that weren't really mine, calling, other stuff doesn't go right either. Relationships break down, different stuff is not going right because you're not on your path and you're not on your purpose. And my thing I would say to people who struggle with, we all struggle with, I would do God's will if I knew exactly what his will is, right? But let me give you the other side of that so you can be equipped. You are doing things right now that are not God's will. You are doing things right now that you know are not God's will. So don't tell me you would do God's will if he just told you what it is.
That's good, man.
Stop doing the things that are not God's will, and you will see that path more clearly.
That's good.
What you want is you want God to show you who you're going to be, because that's going to give you the motivation and drive to overcome your alcoholism and your drug abuse and your porn addiction and everything else you're doing, because you need enough excitement to go there. I know what that's like. That's how I am. You know what I mean? But it doesn't work that way. It's kind of like you actually have to cut off the nonsense to get for your vision to clear up. You got to tune in a little more, and then you'll see that. And you might be surprised at what it is, because I fought it. I never, the churchy type of talk. I never thought I'd be the one to run from my calling or run from my ministry. I never thought I would be that, but that's actually what I did. I actually did run from it in a way, and I had to make peace with it now. There's other people that want to wear a suit and a tie and want to preach in big churches and want to be pastor and want to be elder and want to have a glossy website and a booked up schedule and all that stuff. I made peace with not wanting to do that at all. I'm content to ride my bike with my bros. I don't need money. I don't need a house. I can sleep on the couch at the club. I could go into I could be a martial arts junkie. I could be a broke, starving artist, rapper. I could do anything and be content with it. But he's like, nope, you're the man for the job. So you're going to put on the suit, go to the church, and preach the message that these other people either won't or can't or don't have a voice for or whatever. So he just ends up using you in a strategic way where you know that, man, this was his will.
Yeah. Well, that's why he chose you. You know what I'm saying? Because you didn't want it and you gave it up. Because people desire that, and we have to be careful with the ambition and the desire, and make sure at all times, especially for me with the spiritual gifts and walking in the spirit and praying for people, I make sure that my hands are clean and my heart is pure, and make sure there's nothing, that I'm a clear channel for the Holy Spirit to speak through with moving in the spirit that way, but also for the things that we're creating and what we're doing. Because people get into this for the wrong reasons, and they have selfish ambition, and they want notoriety, and they want fame, and that's what Satan brought to Jesus. Look, man, bow down, worship me. I'm going to give it all to you. You're going to have people around you. You're going to have people paying you, whatever. He brings that to everybody. But we have to crucify ourselves and say, look, if that's what it takes, I don't want it. I don't want it. And he said, okay, because you don't want it, I'm giving it to you. When deep down, he's like, we are the person for the job. But he picks over the ones who seem qualified, and he qualifies the called, as we've heard. And that's really what he does.
If I would have got it back when I did want it, I'm going to be a preacher.
Yep.
And,
yeah. When you were seeking it,
back then, I would have messed it up with the girls, the glamour, the gold. You already know. I'm so glad I didn't have that then. You know what I mean?
For sure, man. I'm the same way. I'm glad I didn't have a big of an audience or reach when I was judgmental and and being rude to people and stuff like that, man. You know what I'm saying? Because I would have burnt it. I always go back to, and I put this in my book, I go back to Roseanne with that tweet. And I know you're big on race, right? You're in a interracial relationship. I guess that's how you put it. But Roseanne made that tweet that people seen as racist, and she came back with her show. Her show was the #1 show on ABC. Put a tweet out, and they perceived it as racist, and she lost her show. She got kicked off her show, lost branding deals and everything from one tweet. You did one thing wrong, and you lost it. You built the platform, but you wasn't able to maintain it. And that's what we do, right? We build something up because we're good at it, but our character can't keep us there. We can't maintain it. That's hard. I built a podcast. That's cool. Maintaining a podcast, I don't feel like it.
Yeah.
I don't feel like it. Send out an email. Man, I don't feel like it. Well, I'm taking it from you. I'm giving it to whoever feels like it. You know what I'm saying? Like being able to maintain it once we get there, you know?
Well, the good thing is you can feel like you just got to be sensitive to what you should say and not say. And I don't mean, to like stifle yourself or put yourself in a box or can't do something out of fear. I'm talking about what God wants you to say or do at this moment, or what he wants you to leave alone. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because you definitely have the boldness and the fearlessness to put out whatever, but it's about being strategic, and God knows your heart if you're doing that for a right reason. You know what I mean? So that's the whole thing. Being sensitive to him, to make sure you're saying the right thing. That's all that matters. Because then if my platform gets blown because somebody doesn't like it, but it's actually what I was supposed to say anyway, then I'm not worried about it.
Yeah, that's where we have to be.
You canceled my reality show because I said a thing that was perceived this way. Well, because of the controversy of that, now I got another reality show that's way more popular. You know what I mean?
I think that just happened with Steve Harvey quoting the Bible, and I don't know if you followed that. Like he got.
I'm aware of it. Like and you could feel that coming from Steve Harvey in the 30 seconds that I heard him speak.
Dude, that's so anointed, bro. Steve Harvey's so anointed right now, bro. I ain't gonna lie to you.
God's got me. That's what's emanating out of that man's being right now.
Yeah.
God got me. I just went through stuff at work. Like, I thought I lost my job. I was on an indefinite suspension, all because of things I said that weren't even necessarily wrong. But it's just this perception that they got to put on me is God's got me. God's got me. I knew, so I'm back at my job. Everything's everything now. I'm straight. And that's what the Bible talks about wanting to keep that clear conscience. You know what I mean?
Yeah, don't give them anything. Like, you know what I'm saying? Make sure you're good.
Even the behind the scenes thing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm talking to this man's wife on the low. I'm trying to just tell these people what they want to hear so I can get their money or whatever. That's that heart condition that maybe only God can see. But that's who we're talking about here. You know what I'm saying? That's who really runs the show. So you got to be clean inside and out.
Yeah.
I don't care that I might have a rough exterior or it's not packaged well or whatever, because the truth is going to shine through.
Yeah. Yeah. He's the one that gives the increase, bro. He really does. And it was a weird dichotomy for me because, like, I've always knew that, like, if I'm building a team, I'm like, well, maybe not Jesus, because Jesus maybe was different. But if I'm building a team, I want the people who are good. Like, if I got some people in my corner, I want to make sure that they're not heroin addicts. I want to make sure I can trust them. If I ask them to, hey, send this email, I want to trust them that they sent the email. You know what I'm saying? And so you want people who are qualified for that position. So when I became a Christian, like, we're fasting, we're praying, we're seeking the Lord, we're doing all of our work in the silent, right? We do prayer stuff and seek the Lord together, but most of the inner sanctification is something that nobody can see but God. And I always felt like that God was the one who rewarded with positions, and God's like, yeah, I know what you're doing. And for me, if I was a pastor and I had a deacon staff and I had a staff of men, I wanted dudes who were hearing from the Lord. And that's how I'm gonna give you, not just that you're a good businessman or you're good with children. I want to make sure you hear. When you pray for somebody, something happens. When you pray, heaven listens, hell trembles, right? I want those people around me. And so I fashioned myself to try to be that kind of person. Because those are the people who I grew up with, and they led me to Christ. You know, they were prayer warriors, man. They were moving. When we prayed, I had to go tug on their shirt. Hey, come pray with us, because something's finna break when you pray. Because they would literally lock themselves in their room and spend hours in prayer and devotion with God. And so I knew that. But in the church, I was like, okay, like if you should have a team, you should have him, and him. Because these are the shakers. You know what I'm saying? These are the guys who God's dealing with right now, really. But I found out that the church don't really give positions based on how anointed you are. Charisma is one of them, how well-spoken you are, your business background, can you draw a crowd? Can you make the people give? You know, if you don't reach this quota, then we got to replace you. And I was like let down with my view of the church, because it's like, man, I'm fasting and praying, and maybe it was something in my heart looking for a position of thinking that that's how it was given, but I found out like in this physical, like it's really not. But I had to come back to, God is, but that is how God rewards. Like God sees all that stuff and every time you've been looked over and the prayers when nobody's around and when you could have sinned and got away with it, but you didn't, and you got integrity and you could have, cheated or whatever, and you didn't because you knew he was watching. It may take years, but God, that's your arms. The Bible says that your arms reach heaven. He's like, look, I can trust him. He's like, I gave y'all the platform, but I can't trust y'all. I gave y'all authority, but I can't trust you. David, come here. What? The guy's hanging with the sheep? I can trust him. I've been training him, and y'all didn't even see it. And that's how God looks at us, man. The ones who it seems like the world or the church or positions or the job have looked over, God's like, I've been raising you up, man, and I'm finna show you. I can show you better than I can tell you.
There's 3 things that Jesus said he would reward if you do it in secret. Praying in secret, you get rewarded openly by the Father. Not man, but men get to see it. When you fast in secret, you get rewarded openly by the Father. And when you give in secret, you get rewarded openly by the Father.
Yeah.
So that's just the way it is. It really is. It is about becoming God's man. Whether that's the political world's man or the television's man or the podcast scene's man or the church's man, as long as you're God's man, you in there. And that's going to happen. That's going to happen. Like, I agree. When they chose those deacons, when deacons were first brought on the scene in Acts, it said, choose men full of the Holy Ghost. Choose the top-notch soldiers that are about this life. Well, church culture has changed so much and got watered down. And a lot of it is just, poor-minded, not educated, not understanding the word. And then it just became, if you come to church every week, and you're a man, now you're a deacon.
Yeah. So that was the thing, too. So that's probably why I tried to correct myself. So when Jesus went out and he was just like affecting people and calling them. He's like calling to these people, and then they started following them. And then after he's had thousands and thousands of people following him, then he breaks those thousands, multitudes, break down because half of them leave. And then he broke that down to 12. But then those 12, it's like what you're saying, is the ones who are full of the Holy Spirit, not the ones who are articulate, not the ones who are who the world would pick, but the ones who are full with the Holy Spirit. So it wasn't because in my mind, I'm going, when he picked them, these guys were rugged fishermen. These guys were rough around the edges, but he crafted them. He could trust them. Okay, when I said this, I was checking to see if you was going to leave because 5,000 people just left, but y'all are hanging around. I want you with me. So, yeah.
Deal with that on all those levels. So Jesus had, he had a 5,000, he had a 500, he had a 70. Who were those guys? He sent 70 out 2 by 2 or whatever. Like, who were they? All them, right? But he could deal with them on that level.
Yeah.
But then he had a 12, and within that 12, he had a 3 because you always heard about Peter, James, and John. And each one of those 3 kind of had a special place. People try to point to John, and he did have his thing. But look at Peter and what he said to Peter. So each one of them, and there's nothing wrong with that. People don't like hierarchy. People don't like patriarchy. People don't like these certain things, but it's all good. Even the stuff you're saying about building a team, that's called wisdom. You know what I'm saying? People in this culture today, this weird, sensitive culture, they're afraid of this certain stuff, but it's like, that's the way it is. That's the way it's always been. You don't treat, you see what I'm saying? You don't treat everybody the same. You don't. I don't love all my children the same. I love them. I love them maybe equal. You see what I'm saying? I love them, but I love each one different.
That's good.
You don't treat people the same. My wife doesn't go make breakfast for my neighbor.
Bring him breakfast in bed.
Right. She makes that for me. I don't buy the woman across the street flowers on Valentine's Day. I buy them for her. Yeah. Like, we got to get off of some of this type of stuff.
Well, that's deep too, with the different levels of love in the scriptures, breaking it down to the Greek. Like, we just read, I love you, I love you, I love you. But it's like, hold on, what type of love, right?
Brotherly, unconditional love, relational love, you know what I'm saying? Romantic love. There's a lot more to it. I mean, English can kind of limit us in some ways, or just English. English version of the other thing that's good about that is, though, I do believe that a plain reading of the English Bible can give you a lot. You see what I'm saying? There's plenty more underneath there, but you're not going to go wrong. You're going to be able to get what you need to get just from a plain reading of the English Bible. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because like I said, the right men were in place to make sure we had this. Some people got killed for it.
Yeah. Yeah, I believe that, man, that it was because people they're trying to negate it. You know, people they want the real thing. And I don't know how much you've searched in your searching as far as like looking into other religions or whatever, wanting, you know, the Bible was plagiarized and taken from this, and then that was taken from this, and there was this pursuit in me, and it's still there, but it's like wanting to go back to the original, like wanting to go back to the first one. We got all these knockoff Christianities, and even now, like in Christianity, like I'm not settling for your knockoff. I've tasted the real thing. Like, I don't want to settle for something that's a cheap imitation, right? Louis bags and Gucci and all that stuff. Some people are cool wearing fake knockoff stuff. They're cool with it. But if you've seen the real thing, man, you can identify the false. And so you just start searching and wanting to get to the bottom of it and this and that. And, well, the Bible's been tampered with and it's in the wrong version and these books were taken out. There could be some truth to that. But then it goes back to what you're saying, man. I believe that there's enough in there to now for you to read it, for God to speak to you and to teach you and just pick it up. You know what I'm saying? Pick one. They're trying to like figure out what's the right one or even the right version of the Bible. You know, that's a thing, right? I've been in those movements, you know, and demonizing other versions and stuff. And then I found out that the version I was promoting is like, man, that's got all kind of flaws in it too. You know what I'm saying? So, well, the word is living word, is the living word, and we can communicate with that through the scripture, which is Christ, and engaging God through the breath as well.
Engaging, because the word of God and prayer are woven together. So if you have the word and you're mixing with prayer, or you're praying and you're praying the word of God, those two are woven together. See what I'm saying? So, and if you speak English, pick a English version of the Bible and start smashing through it. You don't have to understand everything. You don't have to know what everything means. Just start getting it in. If it's alive and powerful and sharper than any two-edged sword, and it is what it says it is, it's going to affect you positively. You don't have to figure out all that other stuff. Is just a devil trying to put a pin in your head, a blockage to be like, stop right there. You don't know what version of the Bible is true, so don't mess with it.
Yeah.
Nah, man, it's all good. It's all right there. The 66 books, were there other books? Maybe. Who cares? Do you know the 66? You keep worrying about what the lost ones were. What about the 66? There's nothing that's going to go against 189 chapters is saying, you know what I mean? That's going to matter. These 66 books written over a span of 1,500 years by 40 different authors, and the stuff all gels. Statistical probability, manuscript evidence, archaeological evidence, predictive prophecies, statistical, like all this stuff can be shown, man. This is not a blind leap of faith. You know what I mean? You could not believe it. You could say, I don't believe there's a God. I don't believe the Bible's true. You could do that. But if you want to have faith, you can have faith, because it's not a blind leap of faith. There is faith and evidence. There's been plenty of atheists that started to study the Bible and started to study Jesus to disprove it and said, yo, Jesus is who he says he is.
Yeah.
And he is Lord. And no matter how far you want to go out of the spiritual realm and that fear and all that, he is Lord of all of that. His blood, if you want to get spiritual, you know what I mean? That blood is that frequency. You know what I mean? And Jesus' blood, that atoning blood, is the highest frequency of anything in the universe.
Yeah.
He's the one that spoke and the universe leapt into existence. It all came out of him. You could trace all of us back to Adam, Adam back to the earth, and the earth coming out of Christ, who was incarnate, who was the one pre-incarnation in the beginning that spoke all this. And it's hard for us to understand eternity and all these type of things because we have that finite type of mind.
Yeah.
You go to school and then school's over. You live your life and then you die. So it's hard for us to understand that, but we're talking about a God that stands outside of time and eternity.
Yeah, that's a big one, even for me. Like, cause I interview a lot of different people on here, and there's a lot of different theories, and I'm open to discuss them. And there's some interesting things in the Bible, reincarnation and things like that. And what happens? Do we get to do it again? Do we come back with another family? And quite frankly, I don't want to come back I don't want to come back at all, and I don't want to come back with another family. You know what I'm saying? I want my family. I want to be with my family in eternity, right? And talking to all these people, you start to question things, right? You start entertaining things, and I have to like get back in the Word. Okay, Lord, and it'll freak me out sometimes, literally, because of death and what happens when you die and all this kind of stuff. And I have to get into scriptures. It helps me though, like because until you're in a state of confusion, you're not gonna look for the truth, right? You get in this place, all right, Lord, I don't know what's happening when I die. Show me. You know, it's like, okay, I turned on a sermon the other day. I shared it and you guys need to go listen to it. But it's a sermon with T.D. Jakes, man, and he's just talking about how God was the eternal, and he was here, and like him calling us is us beckoning because we knew him at one point, like where we were before we incarnated here, and you know what I'm saying, just understanding that, and really getting an understanding about what happens, because everybody has these theories, and at the end of the day, I don't think that anybody knows like exactly where we go when we die. We've heard stories, we've heard people talk about seeing a white light and things like that when they die and crossing over, or people believing in reincarnation. A lot of that stuff is dangerous, right? But watching that video with T.D. Jakes, and I posted it on my Facebook for you guys. You should definitely watch it. It just ignited something within me, and it was a confirmation just of that we are eternal beings, man, serving an eternal God, right? Who was here before the beginning and before the foundations. And some of that stuff can be kind of scary, you know, because we don't really understand it, the fullness thereof, and what it looks like and stuff. So. Man, going back to holiness, right? Walking in holiness in our desire for things that are not good, or things that are harming us, or things that are killing us. The more we spend time with the Lord, like our desires are renewed, our mind is renewed, and then with practical experience and effort and God like strategically mapping out these things, it's tested. Your faith is tested, and I really believe that your faith, it needs to be proved, because that's how you prove what you really believe. We can say, you know, that we want the best for somebody, or we would wish God would help them, but we have the things to help them and we don't. That it proves what we believe, man. Like our actions really prove it. And again, just tying it back in, that goes back to the whole faith thing, and proving what we believe, and your fruits. The fruits of your actions and the fruits of your labor. I really believe that, man.
Bro, I'm so hyped that you brought up T.D. Jakes.
I remember just seeing something on your page, too.
That's the homie right there. Like, I don't know him, you know what I mean? I met him, but I hope to know him. Yeah. That's the homie right there. I love him. And the thing is this, I'm from West Virginia, and he is too, so people I know him personally. So people look at him and say, oh, he's just a rich mega pastor, blah, blah. I know people that know him when he was dead broke, tithing off of his welfare check. You know what I'm saying? Like digging ditches for $50 a day, you know, trying to get food for his kids, pastoring 10 people, you know, doing the whole thing. So what you see him doing now, that's all through foundation. And that's all. Oh, he's a rich mega pastor. Well, he wrote best-selling books. He's a smart businessman. People like, they think that you take money from the church. He spent his own money from his own business ventures to pay off the church. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I look at somebody like T.D. Jakes, I mean, him specifically.
Yeah.
And my thing is this. That's the type of person, like, when I'm looking at like a leader or something, that's my dude right there. Like, I trust him, and here's why. There might be people that are more spiritual than TD Jakes. Or there might be somebody that pastors better than TD Jakes. Or there might be somebody that's more gifted or more knowledgeable, right? There's somebody that might have a greater expertise in one of those areas. But for me, what he does as a pastor, that's my dude. If I wanted to learn how to be a pastor, I want to go get with that guy and find out. If I want to learn how a church should be, that guy and find out. You see what I'm saying? And like a lot of people don't like that because it's like if someone's not preaching your particular brand of spirituality, they don't want to mess with you. You know what I mean? It's like anybody wearing a suit is out. Anybody preaching in a church is out. Anybody preaching in a big church is out. Anybody preaching on TV is out. So I don't throw out, you know, the guy just doing a grainy YouTube video on his nasty cell phone talking about something crazy. I don't throw him out. I listen to what this dude has to say. So I don't throw out these people either. You see what I mean? Yeah, you know some of the background, like the stuff I was into on Facebook and certain groups and stuff. And it's like your spirituality gets so judged and put in a box and you get beat up if you don't agree with this person or if you say anything out of line or whatever. I just,
trust me, like I get weird looks and laughs when we talk about Benny Hinn. But Benny Hinn's one of the deepest dudes you'll ever meet. I know everybody has their opinions of who he is and what he brought to the table. But if you go look how these people started, man, and you see where they came from, like Benny Hinn, dude, is an OG, and he knows some stuff, bro. Like his first book, man, Good Morning, Holy Spirit. Like that book rocked me. You know what I'm saying? And then the other ones, Welcome, Holy Spirit, and then The Anointing. I'm doing what I'm doing today because of my foundation in his book encouraging me to fellowship with the Holy Spirit for hours on end, you know, when I started.
Yeah, that book got people that I know personally through their prison sentence. Yeah. I laid on the floor and got before God for real because of Benny Hinn book. People got healed for real healed of incurable diseases at Benny Hinn conference.
For sure.
Or even much more, just waiting in line to go in the Benny Hinn conference because the expectancy level was so high. I paid attention to Benny Hinn for years. I don't know. Sometimes people do go off track. Sometimes they get different. That's what happens to anybody that falls.
People will say that about. You're gonna say it about anybody who switches it up or comes to a level of maturity. They say it about TD because of the book he just put out, which is an amazing book. And hearing his talks on it, I have the book, haven't read the whole thing, but the book he put out, Soar. He's like giving you the blueprint on how he got to where he was and stepping out. And there's some beautiful principles in there, man, about creativity and about manifestation. And they're like, oh, now he thinks he's a businessman. Now he's running with Steve Harvey, and now he's running with Tyler Perry. Now he wants to be an entrepreneur. He's like, no, I've always been an entrepreneur.
Always.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I built this, and I'm telling you how, because I was consistent. And everything we've been talking about, this man's done it. You know, and it's like, but, you know, and I've been in those places too where I've spoken out against all these people, against TD Jakes, against Benny Hinn, and I call him a false prophet, and probably even biblically stand upon what they call false prophets in the Old Testament and killed them. You know, and I could show you things that Benny Hinn said that weren't true and didn't come to pass. But show me your favorite pastor too, or your favorite leader, and I guarantee you we can find some stuff on them as well.
Exactly, and if it's just a personal preference, that's one thing. Like for me, TD Jakes. If I was a hater or whatever, like we said before, I could look at him and say, oh, he preaches like that now. He switched up, blah, blah, blah. Because I got the cassette tapes before he was ever on TV. Yeah. And I do like his preaching better back then. Like he was going hard in 91 and 92 and stuff. Like the stuff he was saying to a smaller church is crazy. But he's got to operate on a different level now, and that's okay. People aren't going to stay where you found them. They're going to grow and evolve, and that's okay. Taking a business book and all that. He already did that whole evolution before. He made some really churchy spiritual books, and then he came out with one called Maximize the Moment, probably in the 90s. And people said, oh, that was a self-help book. That was a business book. I didn't want that. I want churchy stuff. But he covered a little bit of everything, man. You know what I mean? And now here he comes back around full cycle. Now, this is what I learned in the last 20 years as a businessman. All of it is important. All of it is important. I hate that type of thinking where you got to just latch onto one thing at the exclusion of everything else.
Yeah. It almost seems like what you're dealing with when you do speak about politics or social justice or the patriarchy. Like, nah, shut up about that. You just stick to Jesus. Don't talk about the patriarchy. Don't talk about social justice. Don't talk about black folks. You ain't black. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've seen the comments. Like, I know.
No, I got to jump right back out there because I can't win. You know what I mean? The only people that know are the people in my house. It's impossible to be racist in my house. None of us are. You know what I'm saying? I got a white mom. I got a black mom. I got a black wife. I got mixed kids. Everybody, you know what I'm saying? So you know what happens in our house? We don't care about the N-word. We don't care about it. We don't care about, like, it doesn't matter. It's not able to hit us. It's not able to affect us. We can actually laugh and make fun of race and enjoy what comedians say and enjoy. We don't care because we know the truth. We know it doesn't matter. We know whatever you're saying about black people, that doesn't matter. Whatever you're saying about white people, that doesn't matter. We know we're one blood. You know what I mean? But I can't speak on it because, like you said, it's like if I make this statement, oh, well, stay in your lane. Your lane when you told me to stay in mine. You know what I'm saying? Because I'll say whatever I want that I feel, you know what I mean? That's true. You know what I mean? So race, politics, all that type of stuff. Here's the thing. I said, okay, I'm going to back off, not talk about race or politics, right? Or let's just use politics, for example. I said, I'm going to back off and not talk about politics. I'm just going to get with God and see what God's talking about. You know what God was talking about? Politics. Because he cares about that. This stuff is, King David was the king for a reason. These things that happen on a political, this is real stuff. You know what I mean? And maybe we do have to be careful how we talk about it or how we align ourselves with it.
Yeah, I remember, I don't deal with politics for real. It's funny. I'm like you because I don't have a dog in the fight. I can laugh at both sides, and just see like, okay, Biden's over here touching people inappropriate. Trump's over here grabbing them, by the whatever. And you just look at these people. And I remember, if I seen a funny meme, I would share it, and if it was against Hillary or if it was against Trump, I would share it. And I remember going to eat at a restaurant, and the lady who's like friends with us on Facebook, and she was like, she thought that me and my wife were like, that I was for Trump, and then or I was for Hillary, and my wife was for Trump. She's like, y'all must be a house divided. You must be for Trump. It was like, because I shared a meme, and like these people got this view of me because I'm sharing. So for me, I'm like, and when I've spoken that's not one of my battles. You know what I'm saying? Because I have spoken, I've put out silly statements that said, being silly, being facetious, like, you know what, if you voted for Trump, delete yourself off my friends list, and just joking. And then all of these supporters and followers are like, all right, man, walked with you this far. God bless you. I'm gone. This is my exit to leave. I was like, damn, I'm joking. Honestly, I'm being for real, but I'm joking at the same time and seeing all these people delete me. It's like, oh, wow. Don't talk about religion and politics. We already got religion. And then politics, and it's like, but it's not that I felt led or it was just a joke. You know what I'm saying? That I did. And I would share funny memes. Now, if I see a funny meme, I don't post it on my page. I just send it to my wife and daughter, or send it to the people who I know will laugh. So instead of putting it on my wall and I got all these baby Christians or these people who look up to me, and then I'm like, because people are on all types of spectrums. Some people really look at Trump like he's God ordained and Jesus put him here. And like, I mean, it's not my dog in the fight to, shatter that paradigm. If something I say shatters it, but that's not my battle. My battle is not of flesh and blood. It's a spiritual warfare, teach you about these things. We have an opinion. We have an opinion about everything. I have some people in the audience, and they know their hot target issues, and they're like, TruthSeekah, speak about LGBT. Tell us how you really feel. It's like,
Yeah.
The reason you're trying to like get my head cut off, like you want me to say something about it because you know how I feel inwardly, or you know I'm a Christian and you want to see these people crucify me or something. No, I'm gonna stay away from it on purpose, just because you're trying to make me look a certain type of way, right?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like within the church, as Christians, right? So we're black Christians, we're white Christians, we're Republican Christians, Democrat, or, you know, maybe you don't even live in America, whatever. We're Christians. You know what I mean? The blood-washed people, the disciples, the followers of the way, you know what I mean? Sons of God, all that good stuff. I think some of these topics are so triggered.
Polarizing.
Right. So whatever, left, right, Republican, Democrat. My thing is, I feel like in church settings kind of, or like when that's what we're trying to enhance our like spiritual growth and our growth as Christians, brothers and sisters of all these different races and creeds and stuff. I think we almost kind of have to leave that part out a little bit, because if you say Trump or left or Republican or Democrat or conservative or whatever, if you say that, it immediately, you know, it's an immediate polarizing effect. Now, I believe in having a polarizing effect in certain ways, right? Like Jesus is the only way to the Father. Ooh, polarizing, right? I'm good with that, right? But I don't want to say Trump, because the buildup underneath of somebody else of what they think against Trump or how they feel or what they've seen, I just totally alienated them with that. Or vice versa. You know, you say the other side. And what scares me is you got all these Christians that I've known for years, white, black, that are on either side. Republican, Democrat, that are on either side, that are Christians that I know have a relationship with the Father and are solid. And they're looking at each other saying, your discernment has to be so far off if you think Trump is good, or if you think Trump is bad, right? Yep. And it's all the buildup from where you started from that led you to that point. Because depending on what Instagram you follow and what Twitter you follow and what news broadcast you watch, you just keep getting more and more evidence to show that Trump is the man or Trump is the devil. So people are so built up under there that you can't even bring it up. So like in that case, it is, let's just talk about Christ. Like we can talk about what's true. You know what I'm saying? Like let's talk about racism for a second. Racism retarded. You know what I'm saying? There should be no such thing as like race. Like here's the thing I learned about the early church. When a Jew said the term uncircumcised heathen or something like that, or uncircumcised heathen, let's say that, a Jew would spit that when they said, you uncircumcised, spit in your eye. That's how they felt about it. And a Greek would like look at the Jews and say they're a race of monkeys that should be just taken off the planet. Then all of a sudden in Christ, you have people from these groups hugging each other and saying, we are one in Christ, and intermarrying each other and pooling all their money together. And that's how the whole brother and sister in church thing got started, because people wouldn't even call each other by their last name, because the last name could denote class or, you know what I mean, or race or title or prestige or something. So they just said, that's Brother Derek, that's Brother Todd, that's Sister Keisha. And it rocked the people's worlds, Africans and Greeks and all these different people hugged up together in the name of Christ. That's our only hope. And I'm not preaching some unity for the sake of unity. Like, let's not disagree so we can just be unified about nothing. I'm not saying that. But in Christ, we do have that. United in Christ. We can debate our theological issues. That's fine. You know what I mean? Because you know there's really no difference between Methodist, Baptist, Pentecostal, Presbyterian, Lutheran. All that stuff, it's all the same book. Everybody pretty much, you know what I mean? All that is actually the same. You know what I mean? Jesus, you know, there's one God, and you know what I'm saying? Jesus was born of a virgin and died on the cross and was resurrected, and you know what I mean? There's salvation and that the earth, and he's going to set up a kingdom here. And what you believe about all these other issues within there, that's one thing. But the book of Acts does clearly say that he made of one blood all people.
Yeah. And a true Jew is one inwardly. And you got people of all bloodlines who become grafted into Christ. Yeah, that's it's a hot topics, and we feel certain types of ways about everything, right? I mean, we could do commentary on all this stuff. It's like, but what is you know what I'm saying, edifying and knowing your battles, you know, and not getting, whether it's your lane. I feel I have a lane, and but I don't want to be scared to state my opinion, but I want to be able to have an open conversation about it too. You know what I'm saying? But the weird thing is the perception, like you're talking about. And I mentioned this, like, the weird thing is the perception, and then the weird thing is that people on either side, let's just use left and right, will turn a blind eye to blatant things that are demonic, that are despicable, that they wouldn't let anyone else do. But because they have an agenda, because it fits their agenda, whether their agenda is Trump, they'll make excuses for that person. Yeah. Well, Trump didn't really mean that. Or they'll say, like, well, that was before he was a Christian. I mean, I've heard Christians say all kind of crazy stuff. Well, he didn't really mean that. That was just two guys talking in a locker room. You know, he don't really talk like that. You hear all kind of crazy stuff, and they're just making excuses for Trump and all the buffoonery that he speaks out in despicable, ungodly things this man has said. Now, well, you know, but God chose him, though. God chose him for this role, whatever it is. But then on the other hand, if Biden does it, they're ready to drag him through the mud. And it really comes back to just a reflection of ourselves. And it's like, oh, how despicable our sin looks when someone else is committing it. If you're looking at porn, it's all good. I'm struggling with it. God's working on me. If you find out your pastor's looking at porn, or one of the prayer leaders, then, oh, we got to let everybody know he got to step down from ministry. They find you looking at porn and you don't want to step down from ministry. You know what I'm saying? Like, when other people, and we like vouch for stuff and we make excuses, because Biden's doing weird stuff, groping little girls and whispering in their ear, and they're like trying to pull away from him, and he's pulling them close. It's really nasty stuff that these guys are doing. But people on the left are like, oh, he's just affectionate. I've heard people say he lost his kid, so he's treating them like they're his kid. So he's whispering in their ears and treating them making them feel welcome. Like, nah, you start hearing, they start vouching. It's like cognitive dissonance. It's like they're vouching for stuff that they would be against. That's the weird thing. Even if we see it in religion, when, we read stuff in the Bible that people throw at us, and we like, well, that was, slave. That just mean, that they was just a servant. You know what I'm saying? They were servants unto them people, just like a regular job. We start explaining the stuff away and making it okay. Well, they looked at their wives as property. It was like, well, they kind of was, We start explaining stuff away when we know it's BS, It's like, but we call it out. No, it was bad. We've evolved, man. Just like our consciousness and through trial and error and God working on people's hearts, and, we're learning things, and, we can even say that, tying into the patriarchy stuff. And I know you've been talking about that. I got a lot of, like leftist friends who are just like down with the patriarchy and men rule, all of this kind of stuff, and equal rights and equal pay. And it's like, I hear, and it's crazy. And it's like, I know you've been speaking out about some of this stuff. I believe that men and women have roles, man. I think that they're designed to do things better than the others. I think that, you know what I'm saying? If they figure out what that is, you know what I'm saying, that they'll be unstoppable, man, and they could be used. But like, they start envying. What you mean? You tell me I can't play on the football team? I want to show you. And they want to do it just because somebody told them they can't. Oh, you told me I can't do this? Let me show you. We all have that within us, but I think that's a big part of that patriarchy thing, equal rights, women's lib, and stuff like that we see too,
I mean, my thing with that, you can't please everybody, man. No matter what you say, it's going to be a problem. Like you just said, you believe men and women have different roles. Like you just threw your whole career down the toilet right there by saying that. No,
I already know. Like I know people that it's already who listen to this and who are like, they may never listen again. Yeah.
I'm just pointing to that as an example. You know what I mean?
Well, that's everything though. But see, that's everything that we say.
And then here's the other thing. But I think, okay, hey, Donald Trump did this, right? Now, that's wrong.
Say it again.
You know
Say it again. You were breaking up.
So, Donald Trump did this terrible thing, right? And my thing is, if he did that, then that's wrong. You see what I'm saying? Or like Joe Biden, he's not really being creepy. They're making it look that way. They're taking pictures at the right time, making it look like, and that could be true. You know what I'm saying? So especially when you're talking about with media or interviews, somebody could take me in your conversation from the day, slice it up, and make it sound like we were saying some off-the-wall stuff. They could demonize us so easy. So that's what's happening to everybody. Yeah. That's what's happening to both sides of that. You know what I mean? Like a classic quote from an interview would be like, Todd Benton, do you beat your dog? And I say, no. So then tomorrow's headline is Todd Benton denies dog beating. But what does that make it look like? That dude beat his dog or something? Does that dude beat his dog? You know what I mean? They can take whatever you say and set it up in a headline, set it up in a spotlight to demonize you. And I mean, that's what's going to continue to go on Twitter, and
that's the weird thing. So you have to be a social justice warrior yourself and like really get into this, because you see how they've painted Trump to be I don't think Trump is racist, right? But to
Hold up.
Go ahead.
I think he's as racist as just some regular semi kind of racist person of any race, meaning, if you're black, you might not necessarily like white people that much, or you don't have a lot of white friends, or you feel a certain way about it. I don't think he's racist. You get what I'm saying? He just
prejudice. So is he more prejudiced than racist?
I mean, maybe prejudice in the sense that we all are.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
It's just like, I think he's a normal guy. Like, I know black people that are racist. You know some.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Black people that are racist. I'm not going to say, I'm not going to say Barack Obama's racist. I'm sure he's not. You know what I mean? But Barack Obama might say like, man, they go play golf with these crackers. He's just saying it. You know what I mean?
Being facetious. Yeah. Yeah. What I'm saying, I don't think that Trump is a racist. You know what I'm saying? But through the media and through people with agendas, for many people, he is the face of racism. He's their spokesperson for racists. Like, they found a guy. You know what I'm saying? Like, they got the black guy out of office, and now we got the white guy in. And it's weird because he was in a lot of music videos. He's buddy with a lot of people in the hip-hop industry. But now, he ain't changed, right? They've taken stuff out of context. They've put out articles. And for some reason, now he's a racist. But he's not. But they've kind of painted this, he's whatever you want him to be.
But what happens is like, okay, so racist groups probably do like him or like the direction, you know what I mean? Some of the politics or whatever. But what you got to understand is those racist groups actually don't like him because he's not what they are. He's not what they want him to be.
They'll settle. He'll do.
Yeah, it's just okay. Would they rather have him than Obama? Yeah.
For sure.
But it depends, man. This stuff goes so deep that Obama's actual agenda, see, we're getting political without even trying. The Klan, there's a lot of Klansmen that actually endorsed Obama for certain reasons. See, they hated him because he's black, but they like something about his. You work with who you have to work with to get it done. Trump being racist is the least of any of our problems. Like, even if you have a problem with him or whatever. Now, see, people will crucify me for that.
Yeah.
And say, you're going to say it don't matter that he's racist. You're not the one that got cops trying to kill you because you're black and blah, blah. Well, they could try to kill my son because
listen, hey, if I get pulled over, I'm not reaching for nothing. Pull me, sir, dude, we were shooting a music video and we're under a bridge, right, in a kind of a weird neighborhood. and the cop puts a spotlight on us and starts driving up slow. Guess what I do? Sir, I'm not a threat.
Automatic.
You don't know. He's coming into a dark situation. Me, got a couple black guys with me. My buddy Steven, the voice, he was with me. This fool's hiding behind the car, moving stuff around. I said, bro, that dude might think you're trying to go get a gun or hide something. Like, you're crazy. Sir, I'm not a threat. I don't watch too many videos. Like, I'm not. These people are scared to death, man. And some of them, jump early. They're scared of black people. They don't like black people. You got to bring all that into the equation. They got the guns drawn on people. Say, sir, give me your ID. The guy goes to get his ID and they shoot him. And like, hold on, you just told me to get the ID. One guy's laying on the ground and they're like, put your hands out. He's laying on the ground and he's not a threat at all. And they just shoot him anyway. Bobby's like, bro, you just shot me, bro. My bad. It's like they're nervous, dude. They're scared.
We can't act like that doesn't exist. We can't act like that doesn't happen. We can't act like there's not tons of racist white people or whatever. Like, yeah, all that is true. My thing is, and I even get in trouble for this, my thing is, I don't care if everybody hates you. If you're from Pakistan and everybody hates racist word, right? Everybody hates Pakis. You know what? You're a son of God. You're walking with the Lord. Okay, let's just make peace with this. Everybody hates you. Now go win. Nobody can stop you.
Well, that's a reason why you can't win.
Exactly. But then if you think like that, then nothing will ever fix it. Because I'm like, okay, blah, blah, blah. And they say, yeah, but they brought us here as slaves. And I'm like, all right, cool. Well, here's an opportunity. You can be the CEO of this business. Here's $1 million. Here's everything you need to, boom, there you go. Yeah, but they brought us here as slaves. And see, then I know it's not a racist thing. It's a stronghold. It's a stumbling block.
It's an excuse for some of them.
Yeah. And I don't want to say some of them as if I'm speaking to black people. I'm saying like anybody.
Yeah.
I mean, anybody. Because there's poor white people that their country is being taken over by blacks and immigrants, and that's why they're poor. So they sit in a trailer park thinking that they're poor because of some other race.
Yeah, and so every time they see that race, they get mad.
And a lot of this stuff is cultural. So the thing is, I got black friends that get pulled over and they don't get sweated at all. They're black, right? But they're not fitting a cultural stereotype, because if you're in DC and all the dudes that carry pistols on them and sell drugs have skinny dreads and drive Caprice Classics, and it smells like weed when you pull them over, and you've been pulling them over all day, and usually when I see this guy's got a gun in the car. That's just what it is. You know what I'm saying? Now you pull over a black guy, and this sucks because this is like cultural, racial stereotype. But if you pull over a truck with a camouflage hat on, he probably does have a gun in the car, but it's okay because it's for hunting. You see what I'm saying? I'm not justifying that. I'm just saying that's the way some of this cultural stuff is. But also, we got motorcycle clubs around here and stuff like Pagans. You know what I mean? These cats get pulled over. You think these cops are nice to these pagans because they're white? Hell no. They're dingy, dirty, off the mountain looking white people that probably got guns and knives on them. So they get sweated hard by the cops too. Everything's not always, it's a cultural thing.
Nothing is. Nothing's black and white. We think it is. It fits our narrative, right? If we can make it easily digestible, even people like us and ministry and God, and we want to put it in a box and we can file it away in our mind, compartmentalize it, so that when we see them, they're in that filing cabinet. They're this, they're that. All blacks are this, all whites are this, all preachers are this, all Christians are that, all Muslims are this, all New Agers are that, right? So we have to that stuff's false. But it's funny when you talk about like Obama coming into office and the Klan and stuff, because I was working in Mississippi and carpooling on my job. All my bosses were card-carrying Klansmen. And so I was working there whenever Obama took office and the elections were going on. and it was interesting, and just to see them, but because I would mess with them, you know what I'm saying? Like I would I would call them out on their racist stuff, and let them know, and they're like, and they're trying to give me the racist spiel, and if we go to war, a race war, your skin color is your uniform. And I'd hear this stuff all day. I was like, well, who am I fighting with, the white folks or the Indians? Well, you gonna fight with the whites. And they're just, I'm like, man, if get out of here with that stuff. And these people, I ran with the Black Hebrew Israelites for some time, and God used these racist Klansmen to kind of humble me, really, because I was with the Israelite movement, for some time, and really like big into it. I did a lot of their graphics that they still use today, like signs. I made those signs, like it's deep. We flew them in. They came down here and preached on the streets, all that. But so the guys I was working with, I'm trying to hit them with the Hebrew stuff about who are the true Jews and the people of God or the people of color and all this kind of stuff, and they use those same scriptures to prove that the original man was white. And we would just all day going back, combating scripture. And they're like, take that. And I bring it back to my elders and the Hebrew Israelites, and they would get stumped. But then I hit them with stuff and they'd get stumped. And it's like, you know what? So we had to at the end of the day, just kind of agree upon, like, look, we don't know. We thought we knew. And they appreciated even what I brought to the table as a wrench in their machine of thinking that they had it all figured out. But God used that to humble me, because I was big on it, the Israelites and and I still believe a big part of me is with the dark skinned oppressed people of the earth, right? Which I think God's heart is too. But I could see how God used that kind of thing, and I've been a part of those people who have all the scriptures. And like, they gave me their Bible, and I'm looking at it. It's a regular King James version, but from Genesis to Revelation, every verse about slavery, every verse about the heathen of the earth, like that's the stuff they have highlighted. My Bible has stuff about, I'm going to bless you, I love you, I'll be a father unto you. Like that kind of stuff. They got all these racists, and I've given you the earth, and you have authority over all the beings in the earth. And they're like, and they think that America was like going down the drain because we gave black people rights and freedom and stuff. Like, there's some crazy theologies in Mississippi, man, and some of them people believe in that stuff. And to be around those people when Obama took office was interesting, very interesting.
You and I are similar in that regard, like where we went deeper in race. Like, I worked with and talked to card-carrying Klansmen too back in the day. And I know a lot more about black nationalism than I do white nationalism. You know what I mean? Going into the Bible and all that. Like, mine wasn't the Black Hebrew Israelites. Mine was the 5%ers. So when all the
with jail, for sure.
Yeah, with jail. So they were writing me back saying, yo, we got a white dude that's a civilized person. You see what I'm saying? A righteous Caucasian. You know what I mean? But I got all into the teachings and everything. I mean, had all that stuff memorized.
There's some interesting stuff, right? Does that give, I'm sure you've learned things that have given you a better understanding than the Bible that you would never have gotten from a church, right?
It's so good, but that you did, it's like, you can take the Bible and take it back to Adam. You can take it back to Adam and say, Adam was red. Adam was a white man. That was the beginning of the white race. Other races before that, those don't count. That was mud people, blah, blah, blah. Or you could flip it the other way and say Adam was the original man, so Adam was the blackest man that ever existed.
Out of the dirt. Yeah, that's their two. What color is dirt?
Progressively lighter as time went on and as people spread out. See what I'm saying? So none of that still matters. None of that matters to me. Like, I don't care what color Adam was. I definitely don't care what color Jesus was. You know what I mean? Because that doesn't really matter. The flesh counts for nothing in that sense, right? So Noah, his 3 sons, those 3 wives, those people spread out. You ended up with people black, brown, red, yellow, white. It doesn't matter. None of that matters, man. Identity caught up in their race. And to me, that's crazy. That's crazy.
And that's what you bring to the table, man. You have that conversation, and you have to be able to laugh at what even us, because you've learned to do it with yourself first. So now you can do it with others and see the joy that you take yourself too seriously. You have to be able to laugh at this stuff, right? Because you take it too seriously, and you're finding your identity in something that you were never meant to find your identity in. So we have to be able to laugh at it. First of all, if we don't, it'll drive us crazy, right? If we can't laugh at it. Second of all, going back to nationality or whatever, our identity is lost and found within Christ. And again, the flesh profiteth nothing. He who is a true Jew is one inwardly, and all of these kind of things, and being grafted in. It's like there's people who are really caught up on that. And there's some comments. Shout out to Chad, love you, bro. But he's saying get this convo back on the track of Yeshua. But there's people who we've been there, man. You know what I'm saying? Like this is what they live for. And you're gonna have to deal with those people. And there's really a couple key scriptures to go back to understand how to combat these people or how to share the truth in love. Because if not, they'll have you in a cult. You be a black Hebrew Israelite and didn't even know it.
Yo, love is what works. I gotta bounce. I gotta go to work. But look,
For
love
sure.
is what works. I talked to a Muslim from Egypt, right? And so he grew up Muslim for real. This ain't no jail Islam, none of that, right? He's from Egypt. He's been getting it in, scholarly. And he said, I understand what you're talking about with Christianity. He said, but my God is too powerful to die on a cross, right? And I said, yo, but the thing is, he humbled himself to allow himself to die on a cross. He allowed it. And he said, okay, well, even if that was true, then death, he didn't have to die like this. See, we don't understand that in Western culture. To die like this, stripped naked and nailed up and posted in front for everybody to see, that's the worst humiliating type of thing. And I said, that's because he came all the way to the lowest. He got slaughtered like at the trash heap, you know what I mean? With the scum of the earth, right? The lowest. I was like, that's that love that did that. And man, he looked at me and his eyes changed. And it was like he instantly started shaking because for that 1 second, he felt it. It's not about law. It's not about revenge. He felt that love and said, you see what I'm saying? That love, he felt that for a second, and that's it. Jesus had to go from the highest to the lowest. He did get slaughtered. You're talking about a place that's so bad, it'd be like walking down the street and seeing people just crucify the telephone poles.
Yeah.
He was in the trash, burning, the dirty, burning bodies. You know what I mean? People wouldn't even walk down those paths to go to the place of the skull. They don't even want to see that. That's where the nastiest, murderous stuff is happening. But Jesus came all the way down to the bottom like that so he could fill all in all. And all of us are right in the middle right there, all in all, able to receive of that love and overcome every one of these hindrances and blockages that we talk about today.
He's bigger than it all, man. Bigger than the racism. And bigger than your obstacles, whatever it is, man. Let people know how they can add you on Facebook. Your videos are entertaining. They're comedic. They're cynical. But there's so much truth in it as well. And I really like how you do that, man. Let people know how they can follow you on Facebook and that kind of stuff.
All right. So I'm just a baby on social media. I went back and forth about messing with it, not messing with it. I like to keep it and use it. You know what I mean? I got to like get into it a little. Advantage of it. But Facebook, just look up Todd Wayne Benton. You'll see me. YouTube, Todd Wayne Benton. I did throw a couple of videos up there. I talk about marriage sometimes. You know what I mean? So I'm just going to continue. That's the two best ways, really. I'm on Instagram. So just Todd Wayne Benton will probably get you to the right guy. Yeah.
Y'all look him up on Facebook. Adam, Todd, bro, I enjoyed this conversation, man. We went a lot of different places. It was very edifying, and it was a journey. Took this journey with you, man, and I enjoyed it, man. Thank you so much for hanging out with me, bro. Love you.
You too, man. Thank you.
Shalom, shalom. Peace.
Peace.
Todd Wayne Benton, ladies and gentlemen. The truth is scandalous, man. No matter, and it would say the truth. The truth about what? Truth about all things, man. Not your opinions and what your perceived notions about something, but the truth of the matter. And it's always scandalous because somebody's going to disagree with it. So for somebody to be right, it may mean that somebody else is wrong. So whether it's you just got to put, I really believe that, and I think we got this out of the conversation, was the fact that you have to put yourself in other people's shoes to show empathy and compassion. You know what I'm saying? And there's compassion for all of these people with their own understandings or their own misunderstandings. And because to understand why they believe that, why they think a certain type of way, why they're judgmental, why they're racist. You know what I'm saying? Listening to a conversation, you may not agree with them, but at least you can say, okay, I can see why you believe that, right? Whoever they are. Because you got to look at yourself. You got to examine yourself and understand why you believe what you believe, and is it right, and is there fruit in it, and is this making me a better person? Am I being conformed closer to the image of Christ for these beliefs? And if not, I want to get rid of them. I don't want to believe them. I don't want to study the Bible anymore to find out race and who this person was. And I don't want to study the Bible anymore to combat people and argue with people. We used to do it. Now I want to read the Bible to find out things that I can use to bless me, to make me a better person. And when I say bless, most people are like, oh, see, you just want what works for you. You just want to, you're only picking the pieces of the Bible that you like. Well, we all do. You just won't admit it. But yeah, I like to hold to the pieces that bless me, that are good. Not just bless me financially, but yeah, I'd hold on to those scriptures. But the scriptures that make me examine myself, to examine my heart, to make sure that there's no evil way within me. That's a blessing. Examining your heart to make sure that you don't have no racism, no bitterness, to see if you have any prejudice within you and why that you have it. The triggers. I always talk about the triggers. That's how you want healing. Go to where the triggers are. When somebody touches an area, a sore area, when somebody brings up a person's name, when somebody brings up Trump, again, those are just examples. We kind of went into the examples, but when somebody brings up someone's name, you just get mad. You may keep a straight face, but inwardly you like, you become a hater when somebody's name's mentioned. I get that way. I'm human. I'm spiritual. I'm deep, but I'm human. And I have to continually bring all those feelings and emotions to the cross of Christ. Daily, not weekly, daily. When you mention somebody's name that's my enemy, somebody who's been slandering me, speaking word curses about me, making people turn against me, you say that person's name to the flesh, I want to deal with them accordingly. But I know that it's not how we're supposed to do it. I know that if I do that, I'm most likely failing the test. So when you mention that person's name, my mind goes back to the hurt. My mind goes back to what they did. And you like, man, forget them. You might want to curse them. You might want to do, but I can't. I bless them. Jesus said, pray for your enemies. Pray for those who speak all manners of evil against you. Those who persecute you, pray for them. In doing so, you heap out. That's like the biggest revenge anyway. It's like, I bless you anyway. Like they know you're supposed to be their enemy. They're waiting for you to lash out. And they're doing what they can to get you to lash out, to pull you out of character. I mean, people do it and they leave comments and they want me to address it on the podcast and stuff, but I've had to say, no, I ain't speaking on it. I want to. That's with all these issues, right? All these different issues of the gay, LGBT, politics, all that kind of people. They want you to because they know it's polarizing. So they'll try to pick at you to get you to lash out. And it's a choice. You can choose to do it, but you can choose not to. Be the bigger person. So when some of these people's names come up, I have to immediately pray. Because my mind goes, yeah, I think negative thought. It brings up, it's a trigger. But if in healing that, I'm ministering forgiveness until their name comes up. And it's like, man, I just bless them, man. And not just say it, not just choose it, but a level of holiness where you really want the best for those people. It's deep, man. We talking about just little stuff on the surface, like people have, gossip and slander and did those kind of, but we're going deeper. We're talking about to a father who abandoned you. What about when his name comes up? What about for the person that molested you, the person took advantage of you? What about when their name comes up? It makes you feel a certain type of way. We want healing to go to all those places. That's where the triggers are. That's where we need help. So we better forgive them. I can never forgive them. How could they stole my childhood? You better. You want to get free for that. You better forgive them. Because if you don't, you're not going to be able to receive forgiveness from the Heavenly Father for the things you've did. What about the people you've wronged? What about the mistakes you've made? All of us, all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. Every single one of us. Nobody's got it figured out. All of our spiritual gurus and the persona that you see on the internet, you know, the side of you that we allow you to see, those kind of things, where people are really good at that. There's people every day that I know, they post pictures with their spouses, and they're smiling, and they're both good-looking people, and they're just hanging out, having fun. And people envy that. They're like, man, they always seem so happy. These people fight. These people cuss each other. They got good jobs, but they cussing and fighting, and they can't stand one another. But you don't get to see that because you don't know them. You just judge them by appearance of what they allow you to see and what they show you. But deep down, you don't know. I tell you what, God knows. He knows that when we're going through this stuff. He knows the resentment that rises up. And your spouse, whoever it is, your boss, you're just waiting to snap. You're a ticking time bomb, right? But find out what those triggers are. Get healing. Well, how? How do I get healing? Through prayer, through supplication, renouncing, just speaking it out. Father, I forgive them, just letting them know. And as many times as you need to, as many times as it triggers you, forgive them. It may be, for some people, it's calling that person up, letting them know that you forgive them. Some of the people, I say a lot of people really, who have lashed out at me over the years, within a few months, within a few weeks, they always come back to me and ask for forgiveness. And they've seen an interview or whatever, and they just got a better frame of reference of where I'm coming from or who I am or what I bring to the table. And like, you know what, man, forgive me, man. I'm like, yeah, I forgive you. I may not trust you. I may not want to partner with you in ministry. I may not want to interview you, but I forgive you. I'll bless you, What Brother Wayne says, the word says you got to love them. You ain't got to like them. You got to love them. You got to love them, man. And to understand, just to be able to step back and see the grand scheme of things, that it was beautifully scripted, all of it. And if you can't see that, then you may need to try to approach it from another perspective. You feel like a victim, and God has called you to be a victor. Anytime a subject's brought up, you got to give your opinion. Trust me, and you can tell. I say you can tell. I can tell. It operates off of the discernment of spirits. Because you've identified that spirit before. You've battled with it. Maybe it had control of your life at one point, but you can see it in other people. And you know how to set them free. They may not know. They may still be in the dark, but they still be harboring anger and resentment over situations. And you can identify it in it because that was once you. Harboring anger and resentment for situations and people groups. That's where this prejudice and stuff comes from. That's where this prejudice and stuff comes from, man. Something happening. And many times, whether it's the people of the opposite sex, people of the opposite race, those are blatant. All black people are this. Be careful of all racist white crackers, whatever. You start judging whole people groups because of something one person did. That's not fair at all. Judging all people groups because of something one person did. There was a video that was released this morning. I shared it on my Facebook as well. But the lady who went into, she was dealing with a bunch of stuff. Her mind was not in her job. Now, I don't know if there was any hidden motive stuff on the back end, but there was a lady who went to, it was a cop, and she walks into what she said she thought was her apartment, and there was a black man in there, and then she shot him. Now, she was like, they pulled her phone records, and she was sending sexually explicit text messages with another member of law enforcement, and she just walks in this dude's hotel or apartment and shoots him, and she's a cop. She was on trial, and this morning or last night, really, it came out that she got convicted. But one of the brother of the person who was shot, he asked the judge if he can give her a hug, and it's a powerful video. I want you to go watch it. He asked if he can give her a hug, and the judge said yeah, and he basically said that, I hope that and she's going to jail. I hope that you can find Christ. I hope that you bring this resentment and all of this guilt and shame. I hope you bring it to God and find freedom, because I forgive you. He said, I can't speak for my family and all these people. He's like, I don't even want you to go to jail. I want you to know that I forgive you. And the power, man, this video's gone viral now. Just the emotion in it, and the guy going up to her and giving her a hug and releasing her from the judgment. This one young man. Now, she's going to have to go through that process and stuff, but she has the permission and she has the formula to walk in and find forgiveness. The video was very emotional. You guys go check it out. Very interesting. But just the power of forgiveness, to forgive your enemies. Again, Jesus said, look, if you don't forgive them, I'm not going to, how am I supposed to forgive you and you won't forgive them? Or you're special. Okay. You get a pass. You can harbor resentment. They say harboring resentment and harboring unforgiveness in your heart is like drinking a deadly poison and expecting someone else to get sick. I'm going to drink this deadly poison and expect someone else to die. You're the only one that gets it, because a lot of times these offenders and these people do this stuff, they don't think twice about it. They have come up with ways to rationalize it out of their mind that they didn't even do it. They've convinced themselves, I didn't do that. No, I didn't do that. And they've told themselves this enough over the years that they've convinced themselves. That doesn't mean they're healed. They've suppressed it. It's hidden deep down within their soul, and it's still affecting them, and they don't know it. It becomes a cancer if you don't get it out. But releasing those people from that releases any of the guilt, any of the fault that would lie back on you. People do it all the time. I know I have plenty of examples we may be able to look at back over our own lives, and people suppress it. But then when they're reminded of it, what they've been suppressing, they're cut, man. It hurts. That's where the triggers come in. You watch a movie or something with a situation in it that reminds you of somebody. When somebody brings up this person's name and you always got to say something sly. Somebody brings up Trump, you always, damn Trump. You always got to give your opinion. Like, you give your opinion when it wasn't even called for. Like, you know those people, and you might have been one of them. I definitely was one of them, and I seek to do the inner work and the inner healing, to get all those wounds out and find true healing in Christ, so that I'm not triggered. People doubt you, now you get mad, you get depressed. People talk about what you believe, now you're mad. Whatever it is. I mean, there's so many scenarios, man. But really, releasing that person, I urge you to do that. Get with somebody, renounce it, ask them to pray over you, renounce those strongholds that are there and those demonic thoughts, and renounce those things that you've fantasized of doing to those people and getting even. Vengeance is mine, saith the Lord. He knows what he's doing. People wrong us and do stuff to us all the time, but we got to walk in the Spirit of Christ. I get ripped off from people, bad business deals. They take my money, they run. You want to repay them. You want to do things, you want to get even, but it's like, nope. Vengeance is mine, saith the Lord. He knows what he's doing. Touch not mine anointed, do my prophets no harm. God, he's jealous over you, man. He's wooing you to him. Give it to him. All of it. Every single bit of it. Don't hold it, man. You got to let go of the things that you're holding. He's wanting to bless you with other things. He's got a plan for you. He wants to bless your family. He wants to bless your finances. He wants to bless your ministry. He got dreams and visions, but you can't grab them because you're holding all of this stuff. In order to get to that next level, you got to let go of the stuff you're holding on to. You're like, I want to hold this. You got all this stuff in your hand. He's like, whoa. So you're gonna have that and take this what I'm trying to give you. Hey, you gotta put some of that down, man. Like, what if somebody showed up to help you move? They holding all this stuff. Man, they helping you move. They got your Xbox, they got your TV, they got all this stuff, and then you put something very valuable, something very precious. Fine china. They're holding something very valuable, and you just add that. No, put all that down, and I'm going to give you this and carry this by itself. You may not even let them carry that stuff. You may want to carry it yourself because it means so much to you. You know, working around clumsy people, you're like, hold on, let me get that. You take this, you take the cord. Let me hold the TV, you hold the cord. Make sure I don't trip over the cord. Your destiny, man, is very valuable. It's very precious. And in order for you to receive it and carry these things, you got to let go of all that other little stupid stuff. The anger, the resentment. You got to let it go. You got to put it down because God has more to give you, and you feel like he's trying to withhold something from you. You feel like he's trying to mess with your destiny and try to critique it. No. He just wants to make sure you trust him. Lay that stuff down. Let him purify it. He'll hit it with his fire. All the wood, hay, and stubble will be burnt off of it. You'll pick it up as it's fine gold. He'll refine it within the refiner's fire. He does a really good job at it. He knows what he's doing. Lay it down at his feet. Let the fire hit it. It becomes a sacrifice. And the fire of heaven hits the sacrifice, cleanses it. And many times you'll find out, almost every time, the things you feel like God's trying to take away from you, he just wants to renew it. He's going to give it right back, but he's going to give it to you better. You got to lay it down first. Let him renew it. We get these things and we get these ideas and then God's like, hey, would you lay it down if I asked you? And it's a picture of Isaac and Abraham. He's going to sacrifice his own son. He's like, God's whispering, hey, I need you. I want your son. I need you to kill your son. I hope you guys know this is a picture. This is a story. I want you to sacrifice the very thing that means the most to you. I want you to give it to me. No. You never asked me if you want me to. No. Yeah, I want that thing. Man, I've been getting good at it. I've been raising this. I've been cultivating this thing for 15 years. Or you put this ever since I was a kid, I wanted to be an artist. I wanted to be a singer. I wanted to do this. I wanted to be a healer. Now you tell me that now I'm making strides in that area, but you want me to give it to you? Yeah, lay it down. Put it on the altar. And let me hit it with fire. And in this story, it was his son. God's wooing him. Hey, give me your son, man. He's freaking out. He's like, okay, I trust you, God. I trust you. So he brings his son and lays his son on the altar, and he's about to sacrifice his son to Yahweh. I know it's a weird picture, but it's an analogy of your life. And right before he's about to do it, God's like, wait, look over there in the thicket. There's a ram caught in that bush over there. Give me the ram instead. I don't want your son. I just wanted to see if you would give it to me. I wanted to see if you loved your son more than you love me. And it's a picture of idolatry, of things in our heart, of things in our lives that we exalt above God, higher than God. It's a picture. And he's gonna, if you haven't been there yet, you're gonna be there. It's part of the process. It's gonna be between the wilderness in the promised land, or Egypt in the promised land. There's gonna be a golden calf. That golden calf may be whatever, maybe your dream job. I'm telling you, give it to him, let him purify it, and he gives it back. Don't be scared. Lay it down. It's good stuff. Walk in your destiny. Work with the Father. He's got it all planned out. He knows what he's doing. With that, I'm going to say peace and shalom for this episode of the TruthSeekah Podcast. Thank you guys for hanging out with me. We went some really cool places. We got political. I know I've seen a decline in a lot of the numbers as we're watching live. Soon as Trump or LGBT is mentioned, people jet, But shout out to those of you who have hung out longer for the meat and potatoes here and been able to see through it. Right? There's a blessing in it for you. I believe it. We got another podcast playing for tonight. We got the School of the Mystics tonight, 7 p.m. That's for anybody who's a patron at any level of giving. You get access to the School of the Mystics, 7 p.m. Central tonight. Immediately following, I believe, 9 p.m. Central, we're going to be going live with another podcast. I'm going to be speaking to my friend Daniel Jedediah Cook, and we're going to be talking about the living letters, what we mentioned at the beginning, that the word is alive, and it's believed that the Hebrew letters are alive and they're entities in and of themselves, and people have had supernatural encounters with the letters appearing to them. It's going to be very deep. It's going to be very interesting, and a lot of it's new to me. So I'm gonna be engaged in this, and I want to learn. So it's going to be good. Check us out tonight. It's going to be good. Patreon.com/TruthSeekah. Any level of giving, you get access to all this really cool stuff, all of the music, podcast, extra stuff. Check it out. I love you guys. Peace and shalom. Oh, I might as well say that too. We're doing a morning prayer on our Discord as well. All that stuff's on my Patreon. You get access to that. But our Patreon, every morning, 8 a.m. Central, it seems like we're going to be meeting for prayer. Just a few minutes, just to hang out, start our day, bless it, prophesy over it. If you have any concerns, if you got a job that day, if you got a test, whatever day it is you got going on, meet with us in the morning. Let us pray over you, and we'll receive your prayers as well. We're a community that grow and doing life together, all online, people all over the world meeting with us via our Discord app. The link is in the description, Patreon, all that stuff. If you're looking for community, it's there. Take away those excuses. Love you guys. Peace.
Your way is so much higher than mine, so much higher than mine, so much deeper than mine, so much deeper than mine.
Well, that does it for this episode, folks. To hear more episodes of the TruthSeekah Podcast, head over to TruthSeekah.com. And if you're wanting to support the show and get rewards, go to our Patreon page at patreon.com/TruthSeekah.